Welcome to the next level of Photoshop mastery with the ultimate Photoshop advanced course. Ready to elevate your skills and unleash the full potential of Adobe Photoshop? Your journey to advanced greatness begins here. Hi, I'm Eole and I'll be your guide in this incredible journey of Photoshop wizardry. This advanced Photoshop course is designed to amplify your creative prowess, helping you craft visuals that are nothing short of extraordinary. Have you ever wondered how the pros do it? Well, wonder no more, because I'll be guiding you through the advanced features and tools that will set your work apart. From intricate retouching to mind-bending compositions, get ready to wield Photoshop like a true artist. We begin this course by learning several workflow tips and techniques, which when applied, will instantly quicken and simplify your tasks. We'll then have a quick dive into the Adobe Creative Cloud libraries. After that, we'll then learn some pro workflows with images, selection, layers, and blending, after which we'll learn some advanced methods of image retouching in Adobe Photoshop. After this, we'll learn some pro color correction workflows, and we'll even learn how to use the Camera Raw plugin in Photoshop. We'll learn some typography pro tips. We'll learn how to create and manipulate perspectives in Photoshop. Up next, we'll learn how to create amazing 3Ds, how to edit videos and create motion graphics, all in Adobe Photoshop. Up next, we'll learn how to work with the incredible AI feature in Adobe Photoshop and how to create realistic mockups in Adobe Photoshop. Finally, we'll work on our final projects for this advanced course. In this final module, we'll together create projects that are nothing short of jaw-dropping while revising everything we've learned in the past modules in the process. Brace yourself for exhilarating challenges that will put your newfound skills to the test. It's not just about learning, it's about applying your knowledge in real-world scenarios. Get ready to tackle projects that will make your portfolio shine. Whether you're a graphic designer, photographer, or digital artist, this advanced Photoshop course is your ticket to unlocking career opportunities. Take your experience to new heights and impress clients with your newfound capabilities. Unleash your creative genius and turn your visions into masterpieces. The tools are in your hands. Let's create magic together. Join me and let's paint the digital canvas with brilliance. In this module, you'll learn some workflow tips and techniques in Adobe Photoshop. You'll learn how to speed up Photoshop if it's lagging, how to optimize Photoshop for better usage using preferences. You'll also learn some important Photoshop shortcuts, how to complete tasks using actions, and lots more. Kindly download the attached project files for this module before you continue, and please reach out to me via message or in the Q&A section if you have any questions. I would love to make this course a 5-star experience for you. See you in the next video. Hello everyone and welcome to the course. Welcome to the advanced course on Adobe Photoshop. I'm really glad you're here. So in this very video, we're going to learn how to speed up Photoshop. Okay, so Photoshop sometimes tends to get slow when you're working on a big file. Okay, so especially if your computer doesn't have a lot of grace. And what I mean by a lot of grace is especially if your computer doesn't have, let's say, a lot of RAM or much RAM, or basically if your hardware isn't that good enough. Sometimes when working on Photoshop or when working in Photoshop starts to get slow. So that's what we're going to learn how to fix in this video. Okay, so this project I've opened is from our fundamental course. Okay, so it's part of our final project. It's one of the things we handled in our final project. So it's a very simple project really, and if you're coming from that course, you definitely know this project. Okay, so I have basically opened this project to demonstrate some of the processes we're going to follow in order to speed up Photoshop. Okay, so it's not as if you really need this project if you are only doing the advanced course without having gone through the fundamental course. Okay, so this is just for demonstration purposes. Now, in order to speed up Photoshop, there are a couple of things we can do, and your problem might come from a couple of reasons. Okay, so we're going to talk about all of this or most of these in this video. So the first thing I will do is to come to edit and then go to purge. Okay, so if you go to purge, you're going to see these options. So you can just click all. Now what purge does is purge deletes your histories, deletes all the kind of cache that your project generates on your computer while working. Okay, so if you have a big project, it then means that these cache files, these unwanted history files and undos will be large, and they can eventually slow down your computer as you work. So first of all, just go to file, go to edit rather, go to purge, and then all. Now if you do this, if you click OK, all your histories will be deleted, so it means you can't really undo again. So let's do this. For example, let's create an addition to this design so that I can demonstrate the purge option very well. So we have this guy here. Okay, I've created a rectangle, and let me just change the color. Let me just change the color to red, right? So it's now red, and let's now go to edit, go to purge, and then all. Now if I click OK now, and I kind of try to undo what I did, that's changing the color to red, so Ctrl Z, we then see that Ctrl Z doesn't work. It means our history has been deleted. So you can go to edit, and then we can now see that undo has been grayed out and redo also has been grayed out. Let's say I move this now and then come to edit, we can see that our undo is no longer grayed out. So it means we can undo, right? We can undo move, and you can see that it has undid our move. But if you come to edit, come to purge, and okay, we can now see that our undo has been grayed out. This is basically what our purge option does. It deletes the history, the cache files, and all unwanted files that our project has generated, and makes Photoshop faster. So that's the first thing we need to do. Now the second thing is we can actually come to file, or rather to edit, and then go to preferences, and in preferences we have now a number of things we can do to speed up our computer. Okay, we can go to performance. Under performance, you see some options here. Now I'm going to go through all of these options with you and kind of show you what they do. Now we have this one which says memory usage, right? Now this shows us the available RAM. It's saying 11.8 gig, basically 12 gig here, but I actually have 16 gig on this computer, and it's showing us 12 gig because my computer has taken out, say, 4 gig for different purposes, right? So only 12 gig is available for Photoshop. It now tells us that the ideal range of RAM memory is 6.5 gig to 8.5 gig, okay? And we can see that my available RAM is way beyond the ideal range. And you can let Photoshop use a certain percentage of your memory. So for now, mine is 70%, which is about 8 gig. So you can either reduce this or increase this, you get. But just make sure you don't go lower than your ideal range. Yeah, so that's how to basically make sure Photoshop is running fast and getting the RAM it needs, right? So I'm just gonna keep this as 70%. So 70% is perfect. Good. So that's it for the memory usage. Now we have the graphic processor settings. Now this has to do with your graphics card, okay? If your computer doesn't have a graphics card, I'm sorry, but there isn't much you can do here. But if it does have a graphics card, you just have to make sure this use graphics processor is on. So it has to be checked. Then you can come to settings and make sure these and these are checked. You get. So that's how to make sure Photoshop is using your graphics card. And depending on how good your graphics card is, we can see that mine is an NVIDIA Quadro T1000, and it's actually a good graphics card for Photoshop. It's just perfect for Photoshop, okay? So I don't have any lagging whenever I'm working. So that's that for your graphics processor. And then we have the history and cache options. Now we have the history state. It's set at 50 right now. Now this is how far you can undo or redo. And we can see that right now we have it set at 50. So we have 50 redos and undos. So we can take it higher if we want. We can even make it 1000. We have to know that the higher the history state, the more memory consumption you get. The the more memory consumption. So if you want better performance, you have to make it lower, maybe 20. That's one thing you have to know for the history state. For mine, I can just leave it at 50. 50 is perfect. Okay, now we have the cache levels, and for higher cache levels, we are going to have higher memory consumption. Okay, higher cache levels, higher memory consumption. And for small projects, you don't need a big cache level. So for big projects, you might want to leave it at 4, and for small projects, maybe 2. Basically, you don't want to go above this so much. And then we have also the cache tile size. Now the same rule applies for the cache level, and we have this sort of preset here. Now we can see that as I just chose this first one, that's the web/UI design, we now have 50 history state. We now have our cache levels reduced to 2, right? And then we have the cache tile size at 128K. Now as we select each template, we see that we have different settings. So huge pixel dimensions, we see that the cache levels increase to 6 and the cache tile size is 1024. Now, huge pixel dimensions, you want to select this when you're working on huge projects that use huge pixels. So huge images, huge resources. So you want to use those kind of projects with huge sizes. Okay, and then for this template, you want to choose this template if you're working on normal projects. Okay, so nothing special, just normal day-to-day projects. So that's when you're choosing this one. And if you're, of course, editing photos. And then for this one is when you're dealing with light stuff. Okay, so maybe you're working with mostly shapes and texts. That's when you choose web/UI design template. So all of these can help you speed up your workflow if your computer doesn't have so much grace. But if you really have a beast of a computer, you will not need to be adjusting some of these settings, because you won't even notice the speed reduction, okay, or the lagging. So in order not to always come here and keep making changes, you can just stick to this one, that the default/photos. It kind of creates a balance between high tasking and low tasking projects. Okay, so you can just stick to this one and then click OK. Yeah, and there are basically a few other more things you can do in case you still experience lag after doing all of this. Okay, so it's possible that your temporary files have totally consumed all the space on your computer. So you will have to delete your temporary files or your cache files on your system. Okay, so I don't know how to do that on Mac, but if you're working on a Windows PC, all you need to do is to just come to your search bar here and type run. You can just click on run. Now it's going to open here, and all you then need to do is to type your percentage and then temp and then percentage. Just type this and then hit OK. You're going to have this folder opened. That's the temp files folder. Now all of these files are not useful to your system. Okay, so they are more of like a waste product for your system. Okay, so they are more of like waste products for your system. So it's where your system just dumps all these unneeded files. So you can do yourself a favor by just selecting all, that's Control A, and delete. So sometimes when you have them accumulate, they can be very large in size. Okay, so we can see that I'm deleting over 2 gig of space, and sometimes it doesn't allow you to delete some files, maybe because they are related to the project we are working on currently. So if you do that, it can also help. And if after doing that you still have problems with speed, then I suggest you might need to do some hardware upgrades to your computer. You might want to upgrade your RAM. Okay, so it's possible to upgrade your RAM. You could upgrade your RAM to 8 gig at least, or 16 gigabyte of space. So these upgrades can really go a long way to helping you with speed. Apart from your RAM, you can also upgrade your ROM, that's your storage. You can use what we call an SSD. So an SSD is a kind of newer technology for ROMs, and it's incredibly faster. That's what I use on this PC. It's very fast, and even though it's more expensive as compared to your traditional spinning type of ROM, you're definitely going to get better performance if you use that kind of storage, okay? If you use the SSD storage. Basically, these are the few things you can do to help with your speed, okay? You can't really do much with the graphics card. You can't really change much of the graphics card. You can upgrade the graphics card. And that's according to the best of my knowledge. Okay, I'm not a computer guy, but from my own little experience, I know you can't do much upgrading your graphics card. So that's it for this one, guys. See you in the next one. Bye-bye. So preferences are the settings we have to play with in Adobe Photoshop, and these are things that basically run in the background. One good thing with Photoshop is Photoshop has lots and lots of settings we can customize to the very little details in Photoshop. So I'm going to just create a new file here, a new, say, print file. Let me just choose the A4 and then create, right? Perfect. Now, in order to access your preferences in Photoshop, you can come to Edit. That if you are on a Windows PC, you can come to Edit and come to Preferences, okay? So that's for Windows PC. For a Mac, you can just do Command K, okay, on your Mac, and then you have your preferences. So I'm doing Control K also on the Windows PC, so Control K, and that's the shortcut for your preferences. So you can either do Command K on your Mac or Control K on your preferences. And we're going to look at lots and lots of shortcuts in this course, and we're going to use a lot of shortcuts also. So you have to start getting familiar with shortcuts. Now we are on our preferences, and the first place we are on now is called General. Okay, so we have some settings under the General. So we're going to look at least most of these settings, or the most important ones I recommend, because there are lots of settings, and to be honest, most of them don't really require tweaking for Photoshop to work well, okay? In fact, Photoshop just works perfectly just as it is, but I just want us to study this so that we kind of have knowledge on preferences, okay? So we are on General, and we can see that the first thing we have is your color picker. You should not change this. It's either Windows or Adobe, or if you're on a Mac, it should be Apple or Adobe. So you should always leave it as Adobe as the color picker, okay? And then we have the heads-up display color picker, which has been shortened to HUD color picker. We have it at hue strip, right, small. Now this is our color picker. You get, this is our color picker, and let me just close this and kind of make this bigger. Now this is our color picker, and we can see that this is our color strip, right? This is our color strip. So we can select colors, and of course you should know how to use the color picker by now already. Basically, we are kind of editing our color picker using this option. Okay, so the default works just perfectly. And then we have image interpolation. This is basically how Photoshop understands images. We have it as bicubic automatic. It used to be just bicubic automatic for several years until Photoshop introduced all these other ones, which I really don't pay attention to. So just bicubic automatic will do. And then we have these other settings. Okay, so we have auto update open file based on documents. So this will automatically update your file based on your document in your computer. So that's what this one does. And you can just uncheck it. It's not that important. So we have the auto show the home screen. So it will automatically show the home screen. Then use legacy new document interface. Wherever you see legacy or legacy, it means old-fashioned. So Photoshop over the years has had old-fashioned ways of doing stuff, which it maintained till recently, where they decided that we want to just remove these fixed old-fashioned ways of doing stuff. Okay, so you can actually enable those old-fashioned ways of doing stuff in Photoshop by enabling the legacy options. You get, so anywhere you see legacy, you means it used to work that way as default, but because of newer updates of Photoshop, Adobe decided to remove that as a fixed stuff. So if you keep this option checked, you're going to skip being able to transform an image when placing it. Okay, so usually if you're placing an image, Photoshop gives you the ability to transform that image. So in order to remove that ability, you can just check this, but I don't recommend that. And then basically we have all these other ones, export clipboard. So for this option, Photoshop enables you to actually copy items on your clipboard and then go to other softwares and paste them. Your clipboard is basically a part of your memory where Photoshop can store things. You get, so you can say, for example, copy an image from Photoshop and then move to Illustrator and then paste it with this option on. So resize image during place, it's quite self-explanatory. We have always create smart objects when placing, so it's always going to create a smart object when you place an image or when you place an item. You get, so this should always be on also, because we always want to create a smart object, right? Because smart objects are good and they help us to retain the originality of our layers. So create new layers when brushing. All of these, some of these options are not really that important. When you're done, click next, or you can just go to the next one by clicking here. You get. So we also have these settings for our interface. So we have the color theme. We can make it bright. We can make it less bright. We can make our interface less bright and even darker. You get. So if the bright colors won't work for you, and they used to be like this in the past, but because these colors can really affect our eyes, so Photoshop has done the favor by creating other variations or other options for the color of our interface. So you can even go this dark, you get, and it's basically based on how comfortable you are. Then we have the highlight color. We can either make it blue. Okay, so if we make it blue, we see that turns blue here, here also turns blue, here also turns blue. We can keep it as default. Okay, keep it as default. So that's for the appearance, that's for the color theme. And then we have these other guys here, and this is standard screen mode. You can keep all of these as default. Full screen black, you can just leave everything here. And for borders, so using drop shadows in places like this can tax your system to a certain degree. Okay, because it's way easier and less tasking on your system if you just use lines to display your borders. So let's use lines and use lines also here, and basically same with this one. So we can always use lines to display our borders. It's gonna be less tasking on our computer. You have some of these other settings: presentation, UI language, English, UI font size. We can see that mine is set at small right now. We can make it very tiny, and then the sizes of our UI, of our fonts on our user interface will be tiny. So we can use large if we want, and so on and so forth. I'm just going to leave it at small, and we can actually scale UI to font. Some of these settings, to be honest, I never changed them. Okay, so we also have the workspace. We have these options here. We have auto collapse iconic panels. You want to keep this guy off because Photoshop will automatically collapse your panels. You get, and you don't want that. And you have auto show hidden panels. So why would you show hidden panels if they are hidden? So you also want to uncheck this, and then we have open documents as tabs. It's going to open our documents as tabs, and it's on. You can leave this checked, and then we have enable floating documents Windows docking. You can enable that. And basically, that's it for the workspace settings. We go to the next one, to the tools. So for the first option here, we have show tool tips. Now, tool tips are the tips we get when we select our tool or hover on our tool, right? So let's come here and just display these other tools by clicking and holding and just hover on this tool. We usually get tips Okay, sometimes they appear, sometimes they don't appear. Okay, so we usually get tips on how to use our tools. It's not appearing this time. Maybe it's because I'm not connected to the internet. Let me see. Control K. Maybe I don't have it checked. Okay, I actually have it checked, but for some reason, some unknown reason, I'm not having the tips, right? So, but that's what the show tool tips option does. Okay, we have show rich tool tips, and all of these are options that give us tips on how to use certain options or how to use our tools in Adobe Photoshop. Okay, and we have over scroll, we have enable flickering panel. Some of these are very unnecessary. Really, we have zoom with scroll wheel, so it's going to use your mouse wheel to zoom if you have this checked. I don't have this checked. We have zoom resizes windows. You want to leave this unchecked, and also this other one. So let me check. Let me see what other settings are important here. So for this one, it's going to allow the arrow keys kind of determine the rotation of your tips. Okay, or you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard to adjust the rotation of your brush tip. Okay, so basically leaving all of this on is good. Basically that's all for that. We want to keep this guy off, this spring-loaded tool shortcuts. It just does some weird stuff, but you can experiment with it if you want. But for me, I just recommend keeping it off. And basically that's what we need to do on the tools. And then go to next. We have history and content credentials. It basically has to do with how Photoshop handles your history. Okay, so that's that for this one. You don't need to change anything here. We have file handling, and this is basically how Photoshop handles your file, right? So it includes options like saving, okay, how to save your file, where to save your file, and so on and so forth. So we have image previews. We want to always have this as always save. Okay, so this option will kind of allow you to choose where to save your file. So I recommend always saving on your computer so that you have the most control over your file. Okay, but if you're having space issues, you can always save in your Creative Cloud. And we have enable legacy save. So like I said before, whenever you see legacy, it means there has been an old way of doing stuff. There used to be a way to save your files in Photoshop where when you come to file and then hit save as, you get lots of files types which you can save your image as. Okay, so Adobe actually removed this feature, okay, these multiple files with recent updates to the software. So you can enable these files by just clicking on enable legacy save as. Okay, so you want to always keep this on also. And basically these are the settings I recommend for the file handling. So we can go to next and go to export. So we have the quick export, and you can actually choose the format which you want to use for quick export. So it means if you come here and say, for example, go to export, let's say I hit OK, and then come to file and export, and then quick export, we see that I can do quick export as PNG. You get, but if I choose to change the format to maybe JPEG, I'll now be able to do quick export as JPEG, not PNG. You get, so that's the quick export option here. And then we have other options which you can go ahead and look for yourself, and I won't worry about the others. Now we have performance, and on the performance we looked at these settings actually from the previous video. So that's where we learned how to speed up Photoshop. So that's it for the performance. And then we have image processing. You didn't really need to change anything on the image processing. It's Photoshop doing its thing. And we have the scratch disks. Now these are the disks you have on your computer. So you can give Photoshop the ability to run on these disks, right? So it can run and then save files on these disks by simply checking them. So if you have multiple disks, you can just check all of them. It's going to help Photoshop run better. You have the cursors, and now these are the cursors you use when painting. Okay, so when using your pen tool or using your eyedropper tool, you use cursors. So you can basically edit the way your cursors appear using these options. So for example, you can use the standard, which will give you this, that's under painting cursors, right? You can use the standard, which will give you this brush icon to paint with. So let's say we choose the standard and hit OK, and just hit B for brush. You can see that this is what we get, right? This is what we get. So let's just right click and increase the size, and we can see that no matter how big your brush size is, you just get this brush icon. So the size of the brush icon does not increase. So that's one downside to this standard brush icon. So let's go back to cursors, and when you use precise, you're going to have this crosshair icon. You get, so this also has its downside, but if you use the normal brush tip, you're going to have just this, and it's going to adjust according to the size of your brush. You get, so we can see with the big size brush we have the big size cursor, with the smaller size brush we have the smaller size cursor. So that's the best one to choose. We also have some other options here, which include show crosshair in brush tip. So you can actually show the crosshair within the brush tip, but you don't need that. You can show crosshair only while painting. So it's going to show the crosshair while you're painting. And we have this one which they call the leash, the brush leash. So if we have this one checked, just see what it does. So as you paint, let me increase the size, and as you paint, you see this magenta colored straight line following our strokes, right? Our brush strokes. So that's basically the leash. You can have it unchecked. And also for the other cursors, we have the standard, we have the precise. So just choose the one you feel most comfortable with. And we have the transparency and gamut. Now this enables us edit the way we want to see transparency in Photoshop. So for example, we have the grid color. So we have the light and we have the medium. Now you can see the preview here. We have the dark. You get, we can choose none, and it's just going to give us a white color. And that's not really good, because sometimes we paint white colors, right? We paint white colors and we can have white backgrounds also, or white shapes. So that doesn't really illustrate transparency well, in my opinion. So we can always keep it as small or medium size, and then light or medium or dark, whichever one works best for you. And units and rulers, these are of course the units that Photoshop uses to display measurements for us. So on the rulers, we can have it as inches, but if you are most comfortable with pixels, fine, you can have it as pixels. And then for the type, we have points, pixels, millimeters, and so on and so forth. So for column size, we have this, and for gutter size, we have this. We also have some other options here, like print resolution. So you can actually increase the print resolution. And we have screen resolution. So for print resolution, you always want your print resolution to be higher. So in case you are working and you intend to print that work, you should have higher resolution, okay? But for screen resolution, you don't really need a very high resolution for your screen, okay? So 72 will work just perfect. That's the default. Okay, and basically these are the settings under units and rulers which you should look at. And then we have guides, grids, and slices. So for guides, we have the canvas, and we can choose the color of our guides, okay, on our canvas. So we can choose the color. We can even choose the line type. We can make it a solid line or a dashed line. Okay, that's for guides. So guides basically help us or guide us in placement of things or elements when doing design, okay? So we can use guides to basically align things properly and place them properly. Guides are actually important. For grids, we also have the colors for grids if we want to work with grids. So we have the custom, and you can choose any of the color if you want. You can see that this is the custom color, right? Alright, the custom color is whatever color you choose, basically. So that's it for grids. And for slices, this works with websites, but we're not going to be working with websites, so we don't really care about slices. And for parts, this is the outline we get on our parts. Okay, so on our shapes and on our parts, basically this is the outline we get, and this is how thick the outline gets. This is the color, of course, and also for controls, so control color. And yeah, basically that's it for the guides and grids and slices. And this video is getting too long, so I'm just gonna rush the remaining things. Okay, remaining options. And basically we then have the plugins. So for plugins, you want to always have this show all filter gallery groups and names. So you want to always have this enabled, because if you don't have this enabled, some of your filters are going to be missing. Okay, so Photoshop is going to just remove some filters that it thinks are not really important, you get. So you always have to keep this on, and this has to do with your type. And I don't recommend changing anything here. So also with this and with this. For this product improvement, it basically allows you to choose if you want to participate in the product improvement exercise of Adobe. So basically that's it for preferences. We might be coming to preferences later on to do 1 or 2 changes. It's possible. Okay, so sorry the video really took this long. I just feel it's really important to handle some of these really foundational stuff, so that going forward we can handle the really interesting things with ease. Okay, so that's it for this video on preferences. Thank you so much for staying. See you in the next video. Bye bye. Hi and welcome back. In this video we're going to learn about shortcuts in Adobe Photoshop. Now there are lots and lots of shortcuts in Photoshop, and of course we won't cover all of them, but we're going to cover some really important ones. Okay, now I have gone ahead and opened a new file or created a new project. So this is just a normal A4 file. Okay, so you can go ahead and create yours so that we start looking at the shortcuts. Okay, so the first set of shortcuts I would like us to look at are tools based shortcuts. So they are related to our tools. Okay, so we're going to start from simple to complex. Okay, we're going to start by learning how to select some of our important tools, like the move tool. So for the move tool and also the artboard tool, we have the shortcut V. Okay, so if you're say on the crop tool and you hit V, you're going to jump into the move tool. Okay, and then for the brush tool, we have B. Okay, to select the brush tool, let's say you are in this tool and you want to select the brush tool, you can hit B on your keyboard and you're going to go ahead and select the brush tool. Click and hold. You're going to see that all these other tools also have B as their shortcut. Okay, so that's the pencil tool, the color replace tool, the mixer brush tool. All of them have B as their shortcut, and we're going to learn also how to select all of these other ones, even as they all have B as their shortcut. Okay, so there's a way to actually select each one. So we're going to look at that also. So the next one is the crop tool, which is C. So if I hit C on my keyboard, I'm going to select the crop tool, and of course you know what the crop tool is used for right now, because I presume you have some knowledge on Photoshop, and of course this course is a continuation of the fundamental course, so it means if you're coming from there, you definitely know how to use the crop tool. Now the shortcut is C, and we can see that all the other tools under this crop tool have C as their shortcut. So that's the perspective crop tool, the slice tool, the slice select tool. Okay, so all of them have C as their shortcut. And then we now are going to look at the next shortcut, which is the eraser tool. Okay, the eraser tool. Now that is E on your keyboard. So if you hit E on your keyboard, you're going to select the eraser tool. And we can see that all of the tools under it have E as their shortcut. So that's the background eraser tool and the magic eraser tool. Okay, so sorry I'm speaking a bit too fast. That's because we have a lot of shortcuts to cover. So E on your keyboard for the eraser tool. The next shortcut is P on your keyboard, which will help you select the pen tool. So if you click and hold, you're going to see that all of the tools here have P as their shortcut. That's the freeform pen tool, then the curvature pen tool. And we actually learned how to use this in the fundamental course. So you just hit P on your keyboard and you come to the pen tool. And then the next one is the text tool, and all you need to do is you hit T on your keyboard. Okay, so all of the tools under this tool have T as their shortcuts, as you can see here. The next is the eyedropper tool, which is I. So if you hit I on your keyboard, you're going to select the eyedropper tool. And you all know what you use the eyedropper tool for, okay? And if you don't know how to use the eyedropper tool, kindly go and enroll in the fundamental course, okay? So that's for the eyedropper tool. That's I on your keyboard. Now we're going to learn how to switch between tools. You get, so like for the move tool, we have the move tool here and also the artboard tool. So how do we switch between these tools? There is actually something or a setting that's related to this. Okay, so I'm just going to go to my preferences. So Control K or Command K on your Mac will get you your preferences. And we actually looked at this option in the last video, but I didn't explain it. So this is on the tools. So if you go on the tools, you're going to see this option. Use Shift key for tool switch. Okay, so if you have this option on, you are then going to be able to use this method to switch between the tools you get. So if I select my move tool, that's V, all I need to do is to hold down Shift and hit V to select the one under it. That's the artboard tool. Okay, so Shift V, Shift V, Shift V. It's going to keep going over the tools here. Okay, so that's how to select multiple tools, and this works with all other tools also. So if you come to the brush tool and you want to select all these other ones, the pencil tool, all you need to do is to hit Shift B. You're going to select the pencil tool, then Shift B, and then you're going to select the next one, which is the color replacement tool, and also Shift B to select the next one, which is the mixer brush tool. Okay, so all you need to do is to Shift B, and then you select the next tool after it. Okay, so Shift B to go back to my brush tool. So same also with the shape tools. Okay, so we have the rectangle tool, which has the shortcut U. So if you hit U, you go to the rectangle tool. If you hit Shift U, you're going to go to the ellipse tool. Shift U to the triangle tool or to the polygon tool. Shift U to the polygon tool. Actually, this is the triangle tool. The triangle tool, polygon tool, the line tool, and then the custom shape tool, all by hitting Shift U. Okay, so Shift U, Shift U, Shift U, Shift U, Shift U. Okay, so that's basically it. Shift U is all we do. Perfect. So now we've covered all of these tools. Now we're going to cover the next shortcut, which will help us go over our blending modes. Okay, so for this, I'm just going to go ahead and open my folder. So come to the folder for the third module. That's the folder titled 03 Workflow and Shortcuts. That's this folder right here. So just come in and open all these files. Okay, to select all these files, 3 images and 1 Photoshop file. So I'll just go ahead and open these files. Perfect. So these are the files we'll be using to learn about our shortcuts. Now the next shortcut is related to our blending modes, and you definitely should know about blending modes by now. So let's just come to this file here and come here and just click here and go to the gradient. So create a gradient fill. Okay, that's a gradient solid fill. So just come and choose any gradient, really any gradient. Okay, just choose any gradient will work. Hit OK and OK. Now we want to create a quick blend between our gradient fill layer and our background layer. Okay, now all you need to do is to select your gradient fill layer and then hit Shift and then hit your plus or minus key on your keyboard. So Shift and plus or minus. So as you can see, I'm kind of going down the list. When I hit plus, I'm going to start going up the list. Okay, so Shift plus or Shift minus on your keyboard will basically go over the blend modes. So that's how to go around your blend modes using your keyboard. So I'm just going to delete this guy. Yes, delete. And now the next shortcut we're going to look at is related to our clone stamp tool. Okay, so go ahead and select your clone stamp tool, which is this guy here. This guy here. So this is the clone stamp tool, and we all know what this tool does, right? It clones our subject or our target. You get. So first of all, you have to create a target. So I'm just adjusting the brush size, making it bigger. So first of all, you have to select the target. So that's holding down Alt and clicking on your target. So click on this target. Now we can see that I've copied our target. That's the girl in our brush. Okay, so she's basically in our brush, and we can paint her wherever we want. We get, or we can paint a copy of our subject or of our target wherever we want. Okay, so I'm just going to Ctrl Z. Now this is fairly basic. The next thing I want you to do is just hold down Shift and then Alt and then your arrow key right and left. Just hold down Shift and Alt and then your arrow key right and left. So we use this shortcut to kind of offset our sample source. Okay, so we use this shortcut to offset our sample source. So as I hit the right or the left arrow key, we can see that our sample source is going to the left side. So we're offsetting our sample source to the left side, and same also when I hit my right arrow key, we are offsetting our sample source to the right hand side. Okay, so that's how to offset your sample source. Now we can also hold down Alt and Shift. That's of course Option and Shift on your Mac. Okay, so Alt and Shift is for your PC. Sorry, I'm using the PC, so I tend to forget that we have people who use the Mac also. So just Alt and Shift on your PC or Option and Shift on your Mac. And then you can use the greater than or less than key on your keyboard to kind of rotate your sample source. Okay, so you use that to rotate your sample source. And as I hit the less than arrow, we can see how my sample source is basically rotating. Okay, so if you're okay with the rotation, you can just come and click and then paint your sample source. You get. So let's go ahead and sample another one. So let's sample, then come here, and this time let's just rotate it the other side like this. Okay, so hold down Alt, hold down Shift, and then the greater than key on your keyboard, and then just click to place your subject. Okay, now we can hold down Alt again and then click. Now we're going to look at the next shortcut, which is used to scale our sample source. So all you need to do is hold down Alt and Shift, then your square bracket. So your right square bracket or your close square bracket will basically increase your sample source. You get, so just like this, you can see that our subject is scaling up. So that's how to scale your sample source, and then you do the opposite. That's hitting the open square brackets while holding down your Alt and your Shift, or your Option and your Shift on your Mac to scale down your subject. Okay, perfect. And in order to reset our settings, we can just go ahead and come to Windows and go to clone source. So click on clone source, and you see this reset button here. You can just click on it and our settings will be reset. Yeah, so that's how to manipulate our clone stamp tool. Perfect. Now the next shortcut we're going to be looking at is related to the opacity of our layers. Now let's just create a new layer here. So create a new layer, then come and take your brush tool and do some little scribbles on it. So I'm just going to select a very solid color here, then maybe make the brush size bigger, then do just a little scribble, and see that possibly my brush preset is not the one I should be using. So let me just take this guy here, make the hardness this much, and then brush. So I don't know why it's giving me this look. Okay, I don't know why it's giving me this look. It's probably the brush preset. So I'm just going to go to a different file. Let me come here and see. It's giving me the same thing. Okay, it gave me the same thing. So I don't really know why it's painting like this. Okay, but we're not going to waste time trying to find out. So I'm just going to go back and use other layer types. So I'm just going to create a ship instead. Now, what I want to show you is the shortcut related to the opacity. Okay, so let's say we want to reduce the opacity of our shape layer. All we need to do is to hit V and then select a number from 1 to 0. So 1 will give you a 10% opacity, 2 will give you 20% opacity, 4 will give you 40%, 7 will give you 70%. And apart from hitting single numbers, you can actually hit double digits. So let's say 44 to give us 44% opacity. Okay, so all you need to do is select your layer. Select your layer and then hit V and then just give it an opacity. So we see that we now have an opacity of 55. So we hit V and then give it 77. Okay, 99. So that's how to basically adjust your opacity. Okay, so the next shortcut is related to selecting the bright pixels or the dark pixels of our color. Okay, so let's just go to this image. Yeah, this one has a lot of bright pixels. So in order to select just the bright pixels of our image, all we need to do is Ctrl-Alt-2. We're going to select the bright pixels of our image. Okay, we can see that Photoshop has selected only the bright pixels of our image, leaving out the dark pixels. Okay, so it means we can say, for example, do Ctrl-L for our levels and then just come and edit or add some contrast to our bright pixels. So we can see that our adjustment is basically just affecting our bright pixels. So we can also do same for the dark pixels of our image. All we need to do is hit Control and then Shift and then I, okay, or Command Shift I on your Mac. So if you do that, it's going to basically invert our selection. So now we're selecting the dark pixels of our image, and we can just do Control L for levels and then just adjust the dark pixels. Now we see that only the dark pixels of our image have been affected by our adjustments. Okay, so that's basically how to select your bright pixels and your dark pixels in Adobe Photoshop using shortcuts. Perfect. Okay, now the next shortcut is related to this image, okay, this file. So this Photoshop file. Now this shortcut allows us to fill our layer with our foreground color or our background color. Okay, so if we want to fill the background image with our foreground color, which is red, all we need to do is to hold down Alt and then backspace on our keyboard, or hold down Option and then delete on our Mac. Okay, so Alt backspace on your keyboard and Option delete on your Mac. That's to fill in your layer with your foreground color. Then to fill in your layer with your background color, all you need to do is, instead of Alt, you need to do is just hold down Control and then backspace, or Command on your Mac and then delete. So that will fill in your layer with your background color. Now, apart from filling the entire layer, you can actually fill the non-transparent pixels only. Now that's where this image comes in handy. Okay, so because this image has transparent pixels and also non-transparent pixels. Okay, so there is a way to fill only the opaque pixels in this case. Okay, so if you want to fill the opaque pixels only with your foreground color, all you need to do is to hold down Alt and then Shift and then backspace on your PC and then Option, Shift and delete on your Mac. Once again, Alt Shift backspace on your PC and then Option Shift delete on your Mac. Okay, so that's for filling only the opaque pixels with your foreground color. And also for filling the opaque pixels only with your background color, all you need to do is to hold down Control, then Shift, and then delete on your PC, or Command delete, or rather Command Shift delete on your Mac. So Control Shift backspace on your PC, or Command Shift delete on your Mac. Okay, so that's it for this particular shortcut. Now the next shortcut has to do with locking our transparent pixels. This shortcut comes in really handy also to people who really use the brush a lot. So I'm just going to demonstrate that. So we have this image the scar image with transparency. Okay, so let's say we are working on this layer and we only want to affect the pixels that are not transparent. So we can see that we've selected the layer and then we've selected our brush tool and we are now painting on our layer, but we see that we are painting all over our layer. Okay, so that's not what we want. What we actually want is we want to only affect our opaque pixels. So I'm just going to off the background so we see what we're doing very well, and I'll just zoom in to kind of get a closer look. So all we need to do is to hold down the / button, or just hit the / button. So hit it and it's going to lock our transparent pixels. Now when we paint, we can see that we're only painting over our opaque pixels. So we're only painting over our opaque pixels, not our transparent pixels. Okay, so I'm doing Ctrl Z to undo. Okay, so just hit the / button on your keyboard, both on your PC and on your Mac. Now this is also the button here for locking your transparent pixels. Okay, so this is also the button here. So I'm just going to hit Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z to undo this. Now, how does this come handy for people who use the brush, right? So let's assume we are in this file and then we want to create some painting with our brush. So I'm just created a new layer here and then select my brush tool and come here and just choose a preset. So let's choose this preset and just make this brush a bit bigger. Okay, so I'm just going to paint now. Now you see I'm painting on my new layer, right? So I'm painting using my foreground color on my new layer, and all I will now do is just hit the / button to lock my transparent pixels. Now what I want to do is I want to add some highlights and shadows to my paint strokes. Okay, just the strokes I just created. So all I would now do is just select my darker red and then just come and paint here. Now you can see that I'm adding shadows, and that's because I've been able to lock my transparent pixels. So you can see how handy this feature is. You can select out bright colors and then add some highlights. So this really comes very handy in digital painting characters, because in order to give your character depth, you really need to add shadows and highlights. Okay, so this is basically how to do it. You just have to lock your transparent pixels and then add your shadows and your highlights, and when you're done, just hit your / button to unlock your transparent pixels. Okay, so that's how to lock your transparent pixels in Photoshop. Now the next shortcut is to reduce or increase our brush size. Let me just reduce the size of this layer here. Now I'm just going to create a new layer and then take my brush tool B. Now in order to reduce my brush size, all I need to do is to hold on Ctrl Alt and right click and then drag to the right hand side. Okay, and then drag to the left hand side to reduce the size of my of my brush. Okay, so hold down Alt and Ctrl, then right click and drag to the right or drag to the left. So that's Option and Command on your Mac, and then right click and drag to the right or to the left. That's to increase the size of your brush. And do this, and then do this. You can see that we're basically adjusting our brush size. Okay, and we can also do that for the hardness. I'm just going to select a different brush. Let's take this brush. Let's see. Okay, that's a clone stamp brush. Let's take a really normal brush. So let's just take this brush. Perfect. Now I want to basically increase the size of my brush. Like I said before, hold down Ctrl Alt, right click and drag and drag. Okay, so in order to increase or to reduce your hardness, your brush hardness, you have to just hold down Ctrl Alt and right click, and instead of dragging right to left, all you need to do is drag up or drag down. Okay, so drag up to increase the softness, drag down to increase the hardness. Drag up to increase the softness, drag down to increase the hardness. So that's a command and option on your Mac, and then right click and then up to increase the hardness and down to increase the softness, right to increase the size and left to decrease the size. Okay, Now we also have some other shortcuts that are related to our brush tool, which we can use to also increase or reduce our size. Now that's the left and right square bracket keys. So the left square bracket key for reducing the size of our brush, then the right one for increasing the size of our brush. We also have the one for the hardness, so you can hold down shift and then left bracket key to kind of reduce the hardness, and then shift and right bracket key to increase the hardness. Okay, so that's shift left bracket key to reduce the hardness, shift right bracket key to increase the hardness. So basically these are the few brush shortcuts that are important in my opinion. So I'm just going to delete this layer, but it's too noisy, and maybe create a new layer. Perfect. Now for the next shortcut, I think we're going to use a different image for this. Let's see. Okay, so let's use this image. Okay, so let's use this image. Let's unlock our car layer. Now what we want to do is create a mask. Okay, so just select your layer here, then come here and click to create a mask. So we have a mask on our car layer. So it means we can select our mask and then come to a brush tool, and then just make sure we have black as our background color and start painting to erase parts of our car. Okay, you can see that our brush is too hard. We're going to reduce the size, or rather the hardness, and then just hit X to switch between our foreground color and our background color, and just paint back the parts I erased. Okay, so now this shortcut has to do with switching between our layer and our mask. Now we can see that our mask has been selected because this white outline is on our mask. So if we click on the thumbnail of our layer, we can see that the outline has moved to our layer. Okay, so that's the way to actually move from our layer to our mask and from our mask to our layer without needing to click. Okay, now the shortcut for this is Control on your keyboard and backward slash. Okay, and then we can hold down Control, and then instead of backward slash we can just hit 2 to go back to our layer. Okay, so that's Command on your Mac and then backward slash to go to your mask, and then Command and 2 to go back to your layer. Okay, so Command and backward slash, Command and 2, Control and backward slash on your PC, Control and 2. That's to switch between our layer and our mask. Now the next shortcut usually comes handy when we are doing a selection. Okay, so let's assume we have a selection in this image. Okay, so let's assume we are kind of trying to select this image and see, let's say we actually selected the subject, that's the girl. So I'm just using my selection tool, that's this particular selection tool, to select my subject automatically. Okay, and yeah, our character has been selected, our subject has been selected. So this is the object selection tool. Okay, we learned about it in the fundamental course. So let's assume we took some time to make our selection, and then for some reason we were trying to do something, and then mistakenly we deselected our selection, and this selection really cost us a lot of time. You get, so we know that this is a really painful thing. Okay, because you have to go back and select everything right from the scratch. Okay, but there's a shortcut to kind of help us with this, and that shortcut is Ctrl+Shift+D on your keyboard or Command+Shift+D on your Mac. Okay, so that shortcut will just help you reselect your last active selection. So let's assume we did the selection once again here, and see we were trying to do something or maybe add some more details. Okay, so let's say we had our selection here, and for some reason we had to add some more shapes and then do some more things to our file, and maybe in the process we now kind of deselected our selection, right? So all we need to do is to Ctrl+Shift+D or Command+Shift+D on your Mac to select back your last active selection. So that's that for this shortcut. And the next shortcut is going to help us take our image or our file back to where it was at the beginning. Okay, so let's assume we opened our file and did some changes and added some effects, and we just didn't like everything after all. Okay, so there's a way to kind of revert back to the initial state of our image. All you need to do is just hit F12 on your keyboard, and it's going to revert back to the initial. Okay, and that will also work for a saved file. So if you have a file that you had saved, and let's say after you saved, you now started adding some more stuff to the file, and you didn't like all the new things you added, right? And you want to just take it back to the state it was after you saved. So all you need to do is hit F12 on your keyboard, or function 12 on your keyboard, and it's going to take it back to the last saved state. Okay, so that's it for this keyboard. And the next one is relating to our text. Okay, so let's assume we just select our text tool and then just write something. So let's use this default text. Let's just scale it up. Let's assume we want to increase the kerning or reduce the kerning. Now, what's the kerning? The kerning is basically the spacing between our characters. Okay, so that's the kerning. So let's assume we want to increase our kerning or reduce our kerning. So all we need to do is to hold down Alt and arrow key on our keyboard. So on your PC, Alt and arrow key; on your Mac, the Option key and then the arrow key. So Alt and arrow key to increase your kerning, and then Command and arrow key on your Mac to increase your kerning or reduce your kerning. Okay, so that's basically it for this little shortcut. Now the next shortcut is related to our layer. So this is how to duplicate our layer. Okay, so this is a very simple shortcut, very popular one. So all you need to do is to hit Ctrl J on your keyboard. So Ctrl J on your keyboard, that's on your PC, or Command J on your Mac to duplicate your layer. Okay, so Ctrl J or Command J to duplicate your layer. Okay, so the next shortcut relates to our brush tool. Okay, so let's go back to our brush tool. Let's go back to this file. Now I have this brush selected. Okay, this brush selected, and then now these are all default brushes in Photoshop. So I just want to paint on this layer. I just want to paint on this layer, this empty layer we created before. So now I'm painting on my layer, Let's say I want to erase the strokes I've made, but I don't want to use the normal eraser. I just want to use the same brush I used. Okay, the same brush preset I used to erase or to draw the strokes. Now all I need to do is to hold on the tilde key on my keyboard while my brush is selected. Okay, so if I hold down the tilde key and then just paint, you'll see that my brush now suddenly turns into an eraser. Okay, so with the same brush preset, I am having an eraser. Okay, so I can now erase my strokes with the same brush preset. Okay, so the tilde key is the key on the top left corner on your keyboard below your escape key. Okay, so that's what we call the tilde key. Okay, so you can paint and then hit the tilde key and then just delete your strokes using your same brush. Okay, and if you do not have the tilde key on your keyboard, you can also do that by coming to the modes. So after you've drawn your brush strokes, you can just come to the modes and then select the clear blend option here, and then you can now erase your strokes with the same brush preset. Okay, so that's that for this shortcut. Now the next shortcut is related to our ruler tool. Okay, so if you hit Ctrl R, you're going to activate your ruler. Ctrl R will also take it back. Okay, so you can activate your ruler and deactivate your ruler. So your ruler will come with your selected unit, the units you selected in default. Okay, so that's what your ruler will come, or the unit you selected while creating your new file. Okay, so that's what you're going to get when you hit Ctrl R. So Ctrl R for your ruler, and then if you come to your ruler and just click and drag, you're going to be able to drag what we call guides. Okay, so click and drag. So you can click and drag to create a vertical one and click and drag to create a horizontal one. Okay, now there is a way we can do to actually turn the horizontal to vertical and vertical to horizontal. All you need to do is to hold down Alt on your keyboard and click, and you're turning the vertical one to the horizontal. So that's Option on your keyboard, click, or do the same thing to the vertical one to make it horizontal. Okay, so this is vertical. If we do Alt and click, we're making it horizontal. This is horizontal. If we do Alt and click, we're turning it into vertical ruler guide. Okay, so that's how we use our rulers with shortcuts in Adobe Photoshop. Now the next shortcut has to do with our selection tools. Okay, so let's assume we want to make a selection. So I've just picked the rectangular marquee select tool. So I just click and drag my selection. Let's assume I want to move my selection while my selection is still active. Okay, so while I'm still trying to select, I want to move this. All I need to do is to hold down the backspace key on my keyboard and then move my selection to where I want it to be. So maybe I want it here. I can just release and then continue selecting. Okay, and then just Ctrl J maybe to duplicate my selection. Okay, or to cut out my selection. So that's how to move your selection while selecting. Now the next shortcut is also related to selections, and that's using our lasso tool. Okay, so our lasso tool is used for freely selecting, right? We all know about this from the fundamental course. So we kind of can freely select with our lasso tool. Okay, and our polygonal lasso tool can be used to kind of select while defining straight lines, right? Perfect. So that's the difference between our lasso tool and our polygonal lasso tool. But there are instances where we select using our lasso tool and then we kind of want to switch to our polygonal lasso tool. So how do we do that? All we need to do is to hold down Alt on our keyboard and then release our mouse, and now it has turned into a polygonal lasso tool. Now we can, while holding down Alt, select with straight lines. Get so that's the same thing as your Option key on your Mac. And then if we want to switch back to our lasso tool, all we need to do is to just click, then release our Alt key, and we're back to our lasso tool. Okay, so that's basically how to do that in Adobe Photoshop. Now we are coming to the very last shortcuts because we've covered a lot, really. We've covered a lot. Now the next shortcut has to do with closing all open files except the one we are in. Okay, so we want to close all other files. So all of these ones that are open, we want to close them and just have only this one open. So how do we do that? We can do that by hitting Control and then Alt and then P. Okay, so you can see that it's asking us to save. We don't want to save anyone. So Control, Alt and P on your PC. So that's Command, Option and P on your Mac. Okay, so Control, Alt and P on your PC, then Command, Alt, or rather Command, Option and P on your Mac. Okay, so I keep confusing the Mac keyboard keys. Okay, just pardon me for that. Yeah, so that's how to close all of the files except the one that is active. Now our last shortcuts will relate to our layers. So let's assume we have multiple layers. So let's assume we have a shape layer with a maroon color, and we even have another text layer. Okay, with say a different color than this. So these are our layers. So we can see that we have quite a number of layers. Now our shortcuts will teach us how to kind of move our layer up or down our layer stack. Okay, so right now I've selected my subject, that's layer 1, and I kind of want to move my layer up the layer stack. Okay, so how do I move my layer up or down the layer stack? All I need to do is to hold down Control or Command on my Mac and then just hit my bracket keys. So my closed square bracket key will kind of move it up, and then my open square bracket key will move it down. So you have to hold down Control on your PC and Command on your Mac, and then your closed bracket key, or rather your right bracket key and your left bracket key to move down. So your left square bracket key to move down and your right square bracket key to move down while holding down Control on your PC or Command on your Mac. And there is a way to actually select a layer below our selected layer or the layers above our selected layer. So that's just by holding down Alt on your PC or Option on your Mac and then your square left bracket key to select the layer below, and then your right square bracket key, select your layer above. Okay, so that's basically how to select layers below or above your layer stack. And then finally, we want to learn how to kind of move layers to the topmost part of our layer stack. So let's assume we have this last layer selected, that layer 0 selected, and then we want to move our layer to the topmost part of our layer stack. Okay, so all we need to do is to hit Ctrl and Shift, and then our right square bracket key. So hit our right square bracket key and we have it on top. And if you want to take it back, all we need to do is to hit the left square bracket key and we'll have it at the absolute bottom. Okay, so that's Ctrl, Shift, and then square bracket key, and that's Command, Shift, square bracket key on your Mac. Okay, so this has brought us to the end of our shortcuts. We can see that this was really a long video. It's a long video, but in my opinion, it's a very useful video because we're going to be using a lot of these shortcuts as we proceed with the course. Okay, and I have also attached a file with these shortcuts, a PDF file with these shortcuts in your projects folder, so you can kind of have it printed so that they can stick to your memory. Okay, because these are really important shortcuts. So that's it for this one, guys. See you in the next one. Bye. Hey there, in this video we're going to look at what we call the contextual taskbar in Photoshop. So it's a pretty new feature in Photoshop. It was introduced in 2023. In the fundamental course we kind of avoided talking about it, even though I went through it a bit, but then we kind of avoided using it most of the time because I was hoping to kind of talk more about it in this advanced course. Okay, so this is the contextual taskbar. It's this little bar here that appears whenever you open a new project, okay, or whenever you start a new project. So if you can't see the contextual taskbar, just go to Windows, then come here and then activate it here. Okay, so if I deactivate it, we see that the contextual taskbar disappears. Okay, so we can activate and deactivate the contextual taskbar from our Windows menu. Okay, and then this is a normal A4 project in the landscape mode. Okay, so you can go ahead and create a new project with the required settings. So this is the contextual taskbar, and then what it does is it gives us options based on the context of what we are currently doing, okay, or what we currently have selected. So right now we see that this is a new project and it's an empty project, and basically what the contextual taskbar is telling us is to import an image. Okay, so the only option it's giving us here is to import an image, and we can actually move this bar around with this. So we can click here and then just move it to any position we want, and then we can also come here and then show more properties, and it's going to highlight the properties panel. Okay, and it's just going to show us more details about our canvas, okay, which is empty at this moment. And we can hide the bar. Okay, so if we want to activate it again, we just have to come to Windows, then contextual taskbar, and we can reset its position. Let's say we move it, say, to this point or to this position. We can just reset its position. Sorry, we can just reset its position. Okay, perfect. And now let's import an image. So we can just click and to import an image, and back in our folder on workflow and shortcuts, I'm just going to select this image, this particular image, okay, and place. So it's going to place our image in our project. Okay, after placing our image, we can see that the contextual taskbar gives us new options. Okay, so it has recognized our image and it's asking us to select subject, or to remove background, or to transform our image. If we hit transform, we can see that it's giving us options to flip horizontal, flip vertical, and then if you are okay with what you have, you can just hit done or cancel. So I just hit Ctrl Z to undo our transform. So we can see that these are the options our contextual taskbar gives us, and we can even add an adjustment layer with this. Okay, so basically these are the options it gives us when we open our new image. So let's just select our subject. We'll select subject, and we'll then see that our contextual taskbar selects our subject brilliantly. Okay, we can see that it now gives us newer options. we can generate fill, we can kind of modify our selection, we can invert our selection, we can create mask from our selection, we can kind of fill our selection, but we see that this option is grayed out, and that's because our layer is a smart object. Okay, so if we kind of rasterize this layer right now, we see that we'll be able to fill in our selection. Okay, and we can create adjustments and do a whole lot of things. Now for this generate fill, it's an AI feature, and we have a whole module dedicated to the new AI features available in Photoshop. So we are not going to talk about generate fill right now. You can just click here to kind of transform our selection or to select and mask. Okay, so if we select and mask, it's going to bring up this window for us, so we can do our refinement, okay, like we learned in the fundamental course, right? So we can increase the radius, we can activate smart radius, we can feather, we can smooth, we can shift edge, and if we are okay with what we have, just hit OK, right? So it also gives us different options based on the particular type of layer we select. So let's assume we create a new shape layer. Okay, we can see that it really doesn't give us any options when we are working with our shape layer, right? Except if we kind of activate our transform, it's asking us to flip horizontal or vertical. Okay, so basically these are the few features it gives us when we are working with a shape layer. So let's try creating a new layer, an empty layer. We can see that on an empty layer, it also gives us the same options it gives us with this guy. Okay, so depending on the particular layer, if it's a smart object, it gives us different options. If it's a normal layer, it gives us different options. If it's an image, it gives us different options, right? And of course, if it's an empty project like what we have now, it gives us different options. So that's why it's called the contextual taskbar, because it gives us options and the ability to perform tasks based on the context. Okay, so from now on, we'll kind of use the contextual taskbar more and more in our work to speed up our workflow. Okay, so that's it for this video. See you in the next one. Bye bye. Hey there, welcome back. In this one, we're going to learn about actions in Photoshop. So actions are a way we can use to kind of complete our repetitive tasks very quickly by automation. Okay, what Photoshop does with actions is it basically records steps which we take to complete our tasks, and then we can now play those steps on different images or different files to complete the same tasks which were recorded. Okay, so go ahead and create a new document. It's basically an A4 document in landscape mode. Okay, so A4 document landscape mode. Now come to file and place embedded, and in our folder we're just going to use this image. Okay, this Jonathan Borba image. So place, perfect. Now we have our image. Now go to Windows and then Actions. You can see the shortcut here. It's Alt F9 or Option F9 on your Mac. So Windows and Actions, and now these are our actions. Okay, or this is the actions panel. So you can see that we have default actions here. We call this a set. So we can actually create a new set. So let's just create a new set right away. So let's see my set. Perfect. So a set is kind of a folder where our actions are kept. So we're just going to close our new set, and we have some buttons here, and we can use this button here to delete an action or a set. We can use this button here to start or create an action. Okay, we can use this one, of course, for a set. We can use this to play our action. We can use this to begin recording our action. We can use this guy to stop recording our action. We can see that all of them are grayed out here because we don't have actions selected, right? So let's just look at some default actions. So open here, and then let's just say we want to save our file as a PDF file. So all you need to do is select your action and then come and play. So it's going to open the folder where we can now type the name of our file and then save it as a PDF file. As you can see, it's PDF here. So that's how they basically work. So there are actions that don't require you to interfere. So let's say we select this action and then select this guy here. Or select the layer and then select this sapphire toning action. So select and then play. So see that the action just gives us this sapphire tone on our image, and it doesn't require us to interfere. Okay, so now look at this place. We can see this place, right? Now any action that has this little box activated, like what we have here, will give us the ability to make edits before performing the task. So but the ones that don't have the little box activated here will not give us any ability to edit the task, just like how we saw this one do. Okay, let's delete the layer. Yes, and basically delete. So let's create a very simple action now. Now just close this default actions, then select the new set and click here. Now click here to create a new action, and let's see we want to give this the name noise. Okay, so let's see we want to add noise to our image. So we can just type in the name noise, and then we can select a set. So we can see that we have two sets. We have the default set and we have the my set. So select my set, and then we can actually give it a function, okay, a shortcut, but we're just going to leave it as none for now, and then we can give it a color. So let's select a yellow color and then record. Perfect. We can see that our record is activated now. Now Photoshop now behaves like a recorder, and then anything you do now is basically recorded. So in order to make our actions really clean and easy, we should always plan out our steps before we hit the record. If we plan out our steps, we will be able to create clean actions. So right now, all I just want to do is add a filter. So just come to filter, then come to noise, then add noise. So I just want to add noise to my image. Let me boost it up a bit. Perfect. So I'm okay with this and hit OK. And then just come here and stop my recording. Perfect. Now we have our action here completed. Now if I zoom in, we can see that we have noise on our image, right? So I'm just going to clear all filters to bring us back to where we were at the beginning. So all we then need to do is to select our image without our action or without our effect, and then just come to the action, click on the action, and then play the action. And immediately we see that our noise has been added. Now I'm just going to clear my smart filters, and what I will do is I'll just activate this little box here. So if I activate this little box, we can see that Photoshop is telling me that this will toggle the state of all dialogues in this action. Okay, it is not undoable. Okay, it's not undoable. And then okay. So right now, if I just select my layer once more and then apply my action, you can see that it now gives me the option to adjust the amount of noise I want to add to my image, right? Now this comes in handy when you're dealing with different file types and then different file sizes. Okay, so different images have different file sizes, and then the noise you will need to apply to a certain image will be different to the amount you will need to apply to, let's say, a larger image or a smaller image. Okay, so you might need to apply more noise to a larger image or less noise to a smaller image. So that's it for this. Now we can clear our layers, or rather our smart filters, and then let's do something more interesting. Okay, so let's just create a new action, and then let's see a cool effect. Perfect. And let's just maybe give it a red color and hit record. So right now what I want to do is I just want to add a few effects and do a few things you get, so that we have a more complex action. So just come to filter, then come to filter gallery, and then the first thing I want to do is add a filter. So I want to add a cutout filter, make the number of levels more. So you can see that our image is quite large, so it's taking some time to process. In edge simplicity, we will take it to 5, and that's perfect. So okay, now this is what I want, and then we want to just add some more effects. So just come to your adjustment, and then okay, not adjustment, let's just create a new gradient layer. Okay, and then let's choose a gradient. So let's choose a purple gradient. Okay, so let's choose this guy. So we want something really dramatic, and then change the blend mode to something really cool. So let's give it the lighten blend mode. And yeah, this is good. It's good. And maybe we should add a noise filter. Okay, so let's just go to filter and then noise, and then add noise. Perfect. So this one will be less. Okay, so less, then so 20.78, and okay. Stop recording. So stop. Now we have our new action. So that's cool effect. So we can go ahead and now delete all our layers, remove all our effects, and then play our action on our image, right? So just select the action and then play it. And it's going to take some time because our image is large, and we have our action now applied. So we can see how easy our action made automating our steps. So that's basically it for actions. There are a few effects that might not work with actions, okay, just for you to know, but most effects or most things you will do in Photoshop will work with actions. Okay, so in the next video we're going to learn how to apply this particular action we've created to multiple images. Okay, this can work for even thousands of images. Okay, so that's it for this video. See you in the next one. Bye bye. So in the last video we learned about actions in Photoshop. We even created our cool effects actions, right? And we also saw how everything played out just perfectly. Okay, we also said in this video we're going to use our action on multiple images. Now we forgot to add one more step to our action now, which is the step to save our image. Okay, so all we need to do now is just open our image once more and then click record and then add that step. Okay, but I want to actually redo this because we intend to apply our actions on other images outside this document. Okay, outside this document, it's required that we kind of open the image and then create our action in the image. Remember this one, we actually created the files first before importing or placing our image. Now that's because we are just using the action in this file. So if we are going to use our action in multiple files, we actually need to open our image and then create our action there, and we also have to add our step for saving. Okay, for saving our image. So go ahead and click open and bring in the file one more time. I'm just going to rush ahead and create our action from scratch. So I'll just delete this cool effects action, delete, and then just create a new action. So let's name it cool effects once more, cool effects, and then we're going to add all the effects we added in the previous one. Okay, so record, and I'm just going to first of all duplicate my image. So duplicate my image, okay, and then maybe convert it to a smart object or not. So I don't need to do that process, but I can. So duplicate my image and then maybe rename my layer. Okay, maybe just give it a new name. So let's say new layer. You can give it whatever name you want. new layer. And if I want, I can convert my image to a smart object, but I won't. So the next thing I'll do is I'll just go ahead to filters and then go to filter gallery and then add my cutout filter. I'll just hit OK because we worked with this same settings the last time. So hit OK. And then the next thing I'll do is I'll add my noise. So come to noise and then add noise. And I'm just going to hit OK again. And then finally, just come and create a gradient layer. So let's not work with blues. Let's work with something girlish. Let's work with pink. Okay, so let's choose this particular shade of pink. But of course, you can choose any one you feel okay with, and then just make the blending mode soft light. So let's try lighting also. Okay, lighting won't work well, so let's just use soft light. So soft light, and basically this is what we want. Okay, and the next thing I'll do now is just save my file. So come to file, then save as, and so let's save this as so let's add done to our file name, and then just select JPEG, then save. Here we can see that our file size is really large, so we just want to use the medium file size here. So that's 5, the quality of 5, and then hit OK. Perfect. Now we can come here and just stop our recording. So if I just open my step here, you can see details about our steps, right? So if you just go back to our layer, or else our folder, you can see that our file has been saved. Perfect. Now in our layer, I've gone ahead and created this new folder. It's called batch image editing. Now I've gone ahead and added multiple images into this folder. So I have 14 images. So this is just to demonstrate our batch image processing. Okay, so I'm just going to right click and create a new layer, and then we're going to rename this layer as done. So this layer will contain the new images, okay, the ones that have been processed. Okay, so they'll be processed from here and then to here using this action we just created. Okay, so just go back to Photoshop. Now in order to do your batch processing, come to file and then go to automate and then go to batch. So hit batch, and now you have this window or this dialog box. Now you can select your preset set, or rather your action set. So we can see that we have default actions and we have my set. So I'm going to select my set. Then we now choose a particular action, which is a cool effects action. Then now we have to choose the source folder. Just click here and then come and select this folder. That's the batch image editing folder. So select the folder and select folder. And you have to come and check the destination folder also. So click select, and then you have to select this folder that says done. Okay, you select the folder, and basically that's all you need to do. And you need to check this button here, because if you don't check the button, Photoshop might give you the option to choose the format to save it as. Okay, and we just want to save it as JPEG, so hit OK. As soon as you hit OK, we'll see Photoshop processing our images one by one. So it's going to take some time to process our images, and we'll be back when it's done. So Photoshop is done processing our files, and if we go back to our folder, our done folder, we will see that all our files here have been processed. Okay, so we have our cutout effect and also our noise effect added to each of them. Okay, so that's basically how we can apply one action to thousands of images in Photoshop. And this will come to the end of this video. See you in the next one. Bye-bye. This lecture is about workflow tips in Photoshop, and in this lecture we're going to go over some really cool workflow tips. Okay, so these are just tips which you can apply to your workflow to speed up your workflow. Okay, so the first tip we're going to be learning today will relate to our eyedropper tool. So I'm just going to create a new project, use this A4 landscape, and then create. Perfect. So most of us know the eyedropper tool, and this is the eyedropper tool, and we use this tool to select colors, right? So we can say maybe create a new shape and then just go into the color and just come and sample this color outside here, and we can just hit OK, and we've now sampled our color, right? So what if we actually want to sample a color outside Photoshop? How do we do it? So that's very possible. All we need to do is to just say move our Photoshop interface and expose the place we want to copy the color from. And in this case, I've gone ahead and open this website, which is dribble.com. So all you need to do is just go ahead and go into your color picker. Now just click outside, then drag outside Photoshop, okay, into where you want to copy the color from. Now we can see that Photoshop is sampling our colors outside. So it's sampling this color, and you can see how our color is changing from our color picker tool, right? So we can just sample whatever color we want and release our mouse, and it's going to sample that color for us. You can see that we've particularly sampled the color here, that this dark green color. You can do that with many other colors. Let me just duplicate this and click and hold, and then release. Okay, perfect. Now you can see that we've sampled colors outside our Photoshop software using our eyedropper tool. Now the next one is related to our brush, okay, and basically anything we use with the cursor, our brush, and also tools like our eyedropper tools also get affected with this. Okay, so let me just select my brush. Now we can see that I can now paint. I can now see my brush tip, right? And I can resize my brush tip, reduce the hardness, increase the hardness, do all I want to do, and I'm going to see the preview right in front of me. Okay, so what if I activate my caps lock? So let me just on my caps lock. So if I on my caps lock, we're going to see that it practically turns into a crosshair. So right now it's a crosshair, and we can't see our brush tip. Okay, so if you don't really know this, you might get into trouble sometimes. So you might just be looking for your brush, wondering what happened, why the brush tip is not showing, not knowing that your caps lock is on. So all you need to do is just disable your caps lock, and the brush tip will be back. So that's just a very simple and short tip. And the next one has to do with editing our toolbar. Okay, so sometimes there are instances where we would want to do a particular task, and then we really don't need all of these tools on our toolbar. So Photoshop gives us the ability to edit our toolbar, just basically save the tools we want to use, okay, because Photoshop has a lot of tools. So all you need to do is to just come to these three dots here, just click and hold, and then click or release your mouse, and then now you have the ability to customize your toolbar. On the left hand side, we see all our tools, available tools. Then on our right hand side, we see where it says extra tools, right? So it means if you come here, you can just come here. Let's say we're not using the selection tools, so we can click and drag to the right hand side, and we see that it's been removed from our toolbar. Okay, and we can basically do that for the whole group by clicking here and dragging. Okay, click here, drag. So let's just reduce some of these tools. Let's keep some of these tools away. So let's say we are now okay with the tools we have on the left hand side, and we want to save them as a preset. Okay, so you can just hit save here and type in the name of the tools, or rather the name of the preset. So we have new tools. Okay, the save and say done. So we can see that the tools we've selected are now out, and if we want to come back and kind of select our tools, all you need to do is just click and hold, and you're going to see all of them hidden here. So you can actually go back and select them. They are just hidden, and you can then go to your edit toolbar window and restore defaults if you want, or maybe load a preset and then you select your preset and load, and basically do all of this. Okay, so I'm just going to restore default and hit done to bring back all our tools. So all our tools now are back. Perfect. Now the next tip is kind of relating to using our brush. So I'm just going to go ahead and open a file. So I'll open this file. Now let's say we are using our brush. So let's create a new file. And this tip is also applicable when we're working with, say, a layer mask. Okay, so anything that really requires you using a brush or drawing. Okay, so let's just take our brush and just reduce our brush size. And let's say we want to kind of follow our subject like this. Okay, and kind of follow our subject and just paint around our subject. Let me just undo this and choose a darker color. So let me just choose dark red. Now we see it's easier for me to paint like this. Okay, it's easier for me to paint like this, but when I start coming towards this side, it's going to be harder because my hand is not positioned well to paint along this axis. Okay, so I'll just undo. Now we can rotate our canvas, okay, and then position our character in such a way that it's going to be easier for us to paint along that axis. So how we do this is just by holding R on our keyboard. So we can hold R and then click and rotate our canvas, okay, and then hit B to continue painting. You see, so it's now easier to paint around and then kind of follow it really well, even in the axis where I am not comfortable. So I can now paint beneath our character very efficiently, okay, very well. So just hit R and rotate, and then hit B back, continue painting. Okay, so I'm using the space bar and the left mouse click to kind of pan around my shape like this. Do this. When you are satisfied with what you've done, you can just hit escape on the keyboard, or you can still hit R and then just reset view. Okay, so we can see that we are now able to paint around our character more comfortably. Perfect. Now for the next tip, we're going to use this image still. Now I'm just going to undo, or let's say just delete the layer entirely. Let's say I'm working on our image and I kind of need to zoom in to kind of see what's going on. Okay, I'm working on our image and I'm using the brush tool and I'm painting and kind of zooming in, and now I want to zoom out and zoom into a different place, but I still want to maintain my zoom, so I can still kind of be working like this and then just hold down H on my keyboard. So when I hold down H on my keyboard, it's going to zoom out and it's going to give me this little hand icon with a box around it, and I can now move it and just place it on the place I want to zoom to. So all I need to do is hold down H and place and continue painting, then hold down H and click and release and continue painting. Okay, hold down H, click and release. So all you need to do is hold down H on your keyboard and then click, then it's going to zoom out and you can now focus your zoom on the area you want to concentrate on. That's just it for this little tip. Now the next tip is relating to calculations in Photoshop. So many of us use Photoshop without knowing that Photoshop is a calculator. Okay, so let me explain what I mean. Let's say let's say I just create a text, a default text, and I want to kind of scale this text to 2 times the size. Right on my contextual bar, we can see that we have the font style and we have the font size. Now I'm going to come to the font size, click here, and then /2. So that's divide by 2. Okay, and hit enter. Now we can see that Photoshop has divided our shape by, or rather the size of our text by 2. Yet I can just do multiply by 3, okay, and enter. We can see that Photoshop has multiplied the size of our text by 3. Okay, we can do this with virtually everything that has a value here. Okay, we can do this virtually everything that has a value. So let's say we want to reduce our opacity. We can just do 100% divided by 2. Okay, so we can see that it has reduced this to 50%. Okay, so basically everything that has a value, we can use these operations with, okay, to speed up our workflow. Perfect. So that's it for this one. The next tip relates to what we call the history panel. Okay, so let's just go to Windows and then click history. Now this is what we call the history panel, and many of us don't use this. You might not be aware of this panel, but this panel stores the history of our work. So as we work, it kind of stores our history. So now, since the inception of this document, or since when I opened this document, we can see all of the things I kept doing. So when I just click here, for example, we can see that it has taken us back in time to this point where we created this new layer. Okay, so let's click this. We can see that we added the brush stroke, and now as we keep clicking or activating more history, we keep seeing all the things we did that Photoshop stored. Now when we deleted the layer, it also recorded it. Okay, perfect. So this is a way to kind of go back to see what you've done or what you would like to redo. You get. We also have some other interesting functions on the history panel, okay, or on the history tab. So let's just do something. So let's create some big boxes here, a number of them. So let's create like 4 big boxes and give them different colors. Perfect. So we have all of this with different colors. Okay, now we have what we call snapshot. This is what we call snapshot. So it enables you create snapshots of your viewport. You get, so I can just click and create a new snapshot. Now if I go up, we'll see that we have our snapshot here, and let's say I want to go back in time. So I can maybe go back in time where we had just this guy and create a new snapshot, and maybe go back in time where we had just this guy with this color, and then create a new snapshot, and then maybe here, and then create a new snapshot, and we can see that all our snapshots are here. Now if we select our first snapshot, we can just go ahead and save. Okay, go ahead and save our file. So let's just save this as snapshot1, snapshot ss1, save. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and save snapshot2. S, snapshot 2, SS2. Let's save snapshot 4. So Control Alt S or save a copy as. That's yeah. So SS3, SS3. Perfect. So if we go back to our layer, where is our layer? Good. Or rather to our folder. So we can see that we've been able to save different shots as separate images from the same Photoshop file. You get, so that's one of the things we can do with snapshots. And we also have this button here. For this one, we can use it to delete an action or a history. So basically that's what we can use our history panel to do, and it really speeds up our workflow if we make really good use of it. Okay, so the next one is related to okay, it's something really cool. Let me just go ahead and place a new, or rather open a new image. So let's select this image this time. It's what we call the fade command, or the fade function. So let's assume we just come here and then add black and white filter or adjustment and hit OK. Now we have a command which enables us to go back and affect the previous effect we added. All we need to do right now is immediately after adding the effect or the adjustment or the change to our image, you just go to edit and then come here. Now you see fade black and white. All you need to do is to click, and then now you get a slider, like an opacity slider, which enables you to kind of fade the opacity of your last effect. Okay, so you can see how cool this is, right? Now this works with everything, really, almost everything. So let's say we want to reduce or remove this dimple of hearts, this really beautiful dimple. So we will use a tool like the patch tool. Actually, let's use the patch tool. So click or make the selection and then click and drag. Okay, so perfect. Now we've removed the heart dimple. So let's say we feel that this effect is too harsh and we want to kind of fade it, right? So now we can fade it. Okay, I think I did something that kind of cleaned the effect. So let's try it again. So let's select and then click and drag. Then just go to edit and then fade patch selection. Perfect. Now you see we can fade the effect. Maybe we want the dimple to just reveal a little bit. So we can now fade it like this to the amount we want and hit OK. So just deselect our selection. Perfect. So that is it for the fade function. Now the next tip relates to us working on the same image, kind of zooming in to see details while still having a full view of our complete image. Okay, so let me just demonstrate this instead of struggling to explain. So while on your image, just come to Windows, then come to Arrange, and then hit New Window for Igor Photography. Okay, that's the title of our image. So it now opens a new window for our image. And I'm just going to close all of these once. We don't need them. Now, it's basically the same image. It's basically the same file. Anything you do here will be affected here. So all you need to do now is just come to Windows, come to Arrange, then let's just arrange them side by side. Now for this one, we could have it zoomed out. And then for this one now, you just need to click to activate our window. Okay, so now for this one, we can zoom in and kind of make changes. So we can zoom in and let's say we want to use the plume stamp tool and just make some weird effects like this. Okay, perfect. So if we release, we see that the image on the right hand side is basically updating. So anything we do here will be affected here. So let's say we want to remove our dimple once more. Click, remove, and it's going to update here. Okay, so that's a way to work with the same file in two windows. Okay, so that's also a good tip to speeding up our workflow. Perfect. Now the next tip relates to speeding up little actions with our shift key. Okay, so let's just create a new shape here. So this is a new shape. Now let's use our keyboard keys, zoom in a bit, and then use our keyboard keys to move to the right hand side. Now I'm moving to the right hand side, but we can see that it's really slow, right? It's really slow. It's really slow. Now if I hold down shift and move, you can see that we are now moving faster. Okay, it's covering more space now. Now that's basically it, and this works with almost everything. So let's assume we want to reduce our opacity. So I'm using my mouse wheel to scroll down and reduce our opacity, and we can see how slowly it's reducing, right? So 82, 81, 80, but when I hold down shift from 80, we can reduce to 60. We can reduce to 50, to 40 faster. Okay, so basically this is one of the things we can use the shift key to do in order to speed up our workflow. So delete, yes. Now for the next tip, I'm just going to close this guy because of this little distortion I did here. So close it and then open. So let's open the same image and also this one. So open. Perfect. Now we have these two images open. We go to this one. Let's see, I'm using the crop tool and I kind of like my photo dimensions. So I want to copy this photo dimensions, okay, to our image here. All I need to do is to come here, select my crop tool, and then come here to this place and then just select front image. So if I do front image and go back to my image here, you can see that it has basically created the same dimensions as the former image, right? So I can just go ahead and hit enter, and with enter I can now either move my subject maybe to the right hand side or to the left hand side, or to do basically to reveal what I want to reveal, and just hit done. Perfect. So now we can see that we have copied our dimensions here to this image. Okay, now we can also see that our dimensions here and here are same as the ones we have here, so it means they are the same. So the next Photoshop tip relates to kind of focusing our zoom on particular elements of a design. Okay, so go ahead and open your folder and select this file here. So this Photoshop file, this new poster design. So select the file and open. Now, if you're coming from the fundamental course, you're going to recognize this design, right? So we did this in the fundamental course, and this design has a lot of layers, a lot of elements. Okay, so let's say we're working and we just want to kind of zoom in to see certain elements. Okay, so we have them on our layers panel here. All we need to do is to hold down Alt and click, and we'll basically zoom into the selected element. So right now we're selecting this rectangle one, and we can see that we've zoomed into it. So let's keep going. So we've zoomed into this guy. Let's select our text here, and we've zoomed into the text. So it's basically holding down Alt on your PC or Option on your Mac, of course, and then click. So click, and basically that's it. You can keep zooming in to all of these elements. Perfect. So the next tip has to do with processing a lot of images. Okay, so let's assume we have lots of images which we want to convert into a certain file format. Okay, or we have lots of Photoshop files which we want to convert into certain formats like JPEG or TIFF. Okay, so we can actually do this. So just come to File, come to Scripts, then come to Image Processor. So this image processor window now opens, and you can now select your image. So you can use open images, so it's going to use just the ones that are open. So let's assume you want to kind of save all your open images to Photoshop files, so you can use this to save all of them. So but we do not want to use the open images, we just want to use a folder. Okay, so click on this and then select folder. Now just come to your folder, and then now we had worked on some images when we looked at actions, right? So we created an action and then applied it to multiple images. So we are now going to use this function to convert all our images into other formats. So select the folder here which contains the images. It's called done. Then hit OK, and then now you have to come here to select the location. So you can save in the same location if you want, but I don't want that. I want to create a new folder. So select folder, and now I am inside my done folder. I also want to just create a new folder here and give it the same name, done. Okay, it's done inside done. So I'm just going to go in and then select folder. Perfect. And now we can just save file as maybe JPEG if you want, but they are already JPEG, so why should we save them as JPEG, right? So we are not going to save them as JPEG, we'll save them as PSD, as Photoshop, and we can save them as TIFF also. Yeah, I will save them as PSD and TIFF just to show you, and we can resize and resize also. You can also run actions on all of these images. We can select the set of actions. We have the default and we have the my set. So under my set, we can see our cool effect action, right? So we can also select it, but we don't want to run action. So just check this and basically run. Now Photoshop is going to open each and every one of these images and save each and every one of them as Photoshop files and TIFFs. So when it's done, we're going to come back and look at our saved files. Perfect. Now Photoshop is done of saving our files. So just go to your folder and now enter done and go to done, done within done, and then now we can see that it created a folder titled PSD and this other one titled thief, right? So we can see that our folders are really large. Now we can see all of them as PSDs and all of them as thieves, right? For these PSDs, let me just open one of them. So open this one, and now we can see that it's actually our image. Perfect. So that's just for you to know. Now I don't really need all of this, so I'll just delete everything here. You can see that the folder is really large, right? 1.5 gigabyte. So just right click and delete. Perfect. Go back to Photoshop, and now we're going to look at our last workflow tip. Now this tip involves us creating custom shortcuts, okay? Custom hotkeys to help us perform the actions which we do regularly. Okay, so let's just Ctrl J. Now come to edit, and now come to keyboard shortcuts. So click keyboard shortcuts, and now with this window here, we can edit our keyboards, okay, our keyboard shortcuts, or we can create new keyboard shortcuts. So let's say we want to create a keyboard shortcut for turning our image into a smart object or turning our layer into a smart object. We can do that here. Okay, so all these lists are structured based on our menus here. So file for file menu, edit for edit menu, and so on and so forth. So basically we can do everything, or rather we can create shortcuts for everything that we can do with our menus here. That's basically everything in Photoshop, right? So for turning our image or our layer into a smart object, you can just come to layer, and then I'll scroll down to look for smart object, smart object, smart object, smart objects. Okay, so this is smart object. Smart object. Now convert to smart object, and we can see that we don't have any shortcut right now, but we can add a shortcut. So let's say Control Alt D. Perfect. So let's accept and OK. Now while selecting our layer, we can do Control Alt D to convert our layer into a smart object. And this works for every single thing in Photoshop, even filters. You get even filters. You can create shortcuts for filters. Let's say blur. Let's say we want to create shortcut for a blur filter. So I want to edit, and then filter, and then keyboard shortcut, and then just now come to filter, and now zoom or scroll down, and let's look for blur here. Looks for blur. So blur. So let's say we want to give it a Gaussian blur. So we can see Control Shift Z. Okay, we can see that it has shortcut already. And let's say Control Alt B. Okay, so let's say Control Shift Alt B. Wow. Okay, this is getting really interesting. So let's see Control Shift X. Okay, so let's see, it's for the Loopify. So if we accept, it's going to kind of remove this shortcut from the Loopify and give it to our Gaussian blur. So let me just try something else. Control Shift K. So color settings. So, and we don't really use color settings, right, that much. So I'm just going to accept. So we've now given our Gaussian blur Control Shift K, and then just OK. Now if I do Control Shift K, you can see that we now have the option to kind of adjust our blur, and we can hit OK. And now I've added the Gaussian blur filter to our layer. So that's it for workflow tips in Adobe Photoshop. Okay, so see you in the next one. Bye bye. Hey there, welcome back. In this lecture, we're going to learn about features in Adobe Photoshop which you didn't know exist. Do you know that with Photoshop, you can actually automatically create a detailed tutorial that written tutorial of all your steps. Does that sound interesting? I'm sure it does. Yeah, so what I mean is Photoshop has the ability to kind of record your steps and then create a detailed tutorial, written tutorial, which you can kind of export to a file, okay, and then maybe share with someone or maybe keep for record purposes. So that's what we're going to learn first in this video. And for that, I'm just going to create a new file, right? A new document. So create a new document, and now we have our new document. Now, in order to do this, you have to come to edit and go to preferences, or you can just do Ctrl K or Command K on your keyboard. Now, come to history and content credentials. This is something we didn't look at really well. We just skipped it when we were talking about preferences, okay? Because I wanted us to come and really focus on it in this video. Now, all you need to do is to check the history log. Now, when you check the history log, Photoshop is now able to record data, that record your steps, and then export them. Okay, so you have to check the history log and then come and select the text file. Okay, so text file, and then now you can now choose the location. So let's choose the location here. So that's our workflow and shortcuts folder, and then hit save. And now we can come here and then kind of choose how we want our file. Okay, do we want it detailed? Do we want it concise? Do we want it to record sessions only? So we want to select detailed here and just hit OK. Now Photoshop starts to record. So everything we do from here, Photoshop records it and then saves it in our file. Now I'm just going to go here and then place an image. So place embedded, then come to my folder and select this guy, this image, then place. And then the next thing I would like to do is to just hit C on my keyboard and then hit enter. So I've just cropped my file to this size, right? So I'll just click here to finish my crop. Now I want to just add some adjustments to our image. So just come to the adjustment layer and then let's add curves. So I'm just going to expand my panel and then just add some quick curves. So nothing really special here. We just want to be able to have some history so that we can see how Photoshop saves our history, right? So yeah, so these are curves, and then let's add another one. Let's add black and white. So let's add the black and white. Okay, and let's just use blending mode here. Let's use this blending mode, lighten. Okay, and let's reduce the opacity of our blending mode. Perfect. Or rather of our layer. Then next we're going to add another adjustment. That's the color lookup. And just come and select one of these really cool looks here. Select this look and then let's change the blending mode. So let's select the lighten blending mode. I think lighten should do a good job. Let's select darken so that we can just reduce the opacity. Okay, and next is the levels. I want to select my levels. So I want to boost my levels. So where are my levels? Okay, these are my levels. So just make my levels look like this. And we can see that the exposure is becoming too much, so I'll just add an exposure adjustment. So exposure, and just reduce my exposure. Okay. Oh, I think I should reduce my highlights instead, but you know what, we're just going to work with what we have, okay, since it's for experimental purposes. So now I'll just hit Ctrl S to save my file. So let me save this as flower girl and save. Perfect. Now we've saved our file. Now I'm just going to go to my folder, and now we can see that in my folder, in our folder, Photoshop has created this Photoshop edit log, right? So this is a text document. I'm just going to double click to open it. Now we can see that Photoshop has now recorded all our steps. So we started by placing an image, right? We started by placing an image. So Photoshop has recorded the location, has recorded details about the image. In fact, the names of the layer, okay? It has recorded the crop action, which we did. We cropped it, and even the sizes of our images, okay, the dimensions and everything. So you can see how detailed this is. You can even edit it further to add more detail and organize the whole document better. Yes, so this is a really crazy feature in Photoshop that many people don't really know about. Now the next feature is just a really simple feature. It's just this bar here. So if you just come here and click, you can click and hold. Okay, just click here and hold. Now you're going to see details about our file. So the width, the height, the channels. So there are 3 channels. We have the RGB channels, and then the resolution, so 75 pixels per inch. Okay, so these are the details of our image. Let's just come here and see if we are right. So we can see that, yeah, it's 75, and then these are our width and height. Okay, so now if you come here and click here, you're going to see different things we can select. Okay, so currently it's on document sizes. That's why we can see the document size. So we see that the document size is 55.3 MB and 61.3 MB. So now 55.3 MB is the actual size of the Photoshop document, and then 61.3 MB is the size it consumes on our computer while working. Okay, so we can also look at the document profile. So if we click on document profile, we're going to see the document profile here. So you can see this is the document profile. And if you click on document dimensions, you're going to see this is 4246 pixels by 4553 pixels. Okay, and then 72 ppi. Okay, then GPU mode, this is the GPU mode, and then measurement scale. You see that this is basically the scale of measurement, right? It's 1 pixel to 1 pixel. Okay, so 1-to-1 ratio. So it turns out that we even have scale in Photoshop. Okay, and then the next one is scratch sizes. Now this has to be with memory, I guess. So we can see 1.8 gig by 10.1 gig, and then we have many other ones. We have even the efficiency. So this is basically telling you how efficient Photoshop is running. And you can see that it's on 100%. So maybe if we begin to do a lot of stuff that will slow down our computer, we might see this number reduce. Okay, this percentage reduce. And then we have timing, probably the time it takes to perform actions, maybe to save or to perform certain actions on our file. We can see that it's 2.5 or 2.6 seconds. So the time usually gets increased as our project gets more and more complex. We have the current tool, which is the move tool. So if we select this tool now, it's going to show us that we've selected the rectangular marquee select tool. This will be the object selection tool, the smudge tool. So we can see that the names of each tool we select just keep showing here. Now we have this, we have saving progress, we have smart objects. So it tells us the number of smart objects we have, and we don't have any smart objects. But if we create a new layer, and then let's say turn or convert to smart object, so we can see that we're going to have the smart objects. I can't really see it change though, but layer count, we see that we have 8 layers. Let me just turn my layer into a smart object. Okay, it's actually a smart object. This should show at least 1, but I don't know why it's not showing, but that's by the way. So we can see that this little button here exposes us to more and more details about our project. Okay, now the next feature is going to help us create a PDF presentation from our files, okay, from our images. So just come and open, and I'm just going to import some of these images under batch image editing. So we just select some of them. So I'm going to select this one, selecting this one, this one, this, and maybe this. Okay, to select them, okay, I just duplicated them in undo. Let me do my selection again. This, this, and this, and this. Okay, and then open. Perfect. Now I will just go ahead and close this file. You don't need to save it, so go ahead and close. Perfect. And don't save. So just come to file, come to scripts, or rather come to automate, and then come to PDF presentation. So click, and now we see that we can now add open images. So it's going to add all these images, or we can actually browse images from our computer, right? So we can add images and then now save as. So we can save as multi-page document, or we can save as presentation. I want to save as presentation. We can select the color of the background, maybe black, font size, and we can include file name, title, all of these other details which are not necessary for now. And then we can like edit the the timing of our presentation, right? So after every 5 seconds, we want it to change. We want the image to change and move to the next one. Okay, so that's it for here. So you can make this 4 if you want. So I'm just going to use 4, and then we can actually choose a transition. So we have a random transition now, so it means it's going to just choose randomly. Now just work with a random transition so that we get to see how different other transitions work. Okay, and then hit save, and then just go to your folder and hit save. And we are not really using any file name because we just want to use this for testing purposes. So we are brought to this window, and all we need to do is just hit save, and Photoshop is going to take its time and export our file. Now we have our file exported, and go to your folder, and now this is our presentation. So double click, or sorry, not double click, let's just right click and open with Acrobat. So open, and just hit yes, and now we can see our presentation. So after 4 seconds, it's going to move to the next image. So let's don't show this message again and hit yes. So we can see our presentation continues after every 4 seconds. Yeah, so that's how to create a presentation in Photoshop. So I just hit escape and close this, and I'll just delete the file because I don't need it. So go back to Photoshop, and yeah, so now we've learned how to create presentations, PDF presentations in Photoshop. Now the next feature is a really funny feature, really weird feature. Now, and this is, okay, just come here, click and hold, and then release to bring up the customize toolbar window. Okay, so all I need you to do right now is just come here, hold down shift and hit done. We can now see that we have a banana as our icon here. Okay, so this is just a really cool feature in Photoshop. It really doesn't do anything, just fun stuff, right? So you can also come back here and hold down alt and then click done to reset it to the default image. So just come here, hold, then hit shift, hold down shift and click done, and you're going to have a banana. And we have one other one that's on the preferences, Control K or Command K. For this one, you just go to interface, and this is it. So what you need to do here is come and hold down shift on your keyboard and alt, or shift and command, and then click. So when you click, you're just going to see that our color theme buttons turn into loaves of bread, right, with different brightness. Okay, so this also doesn't do anything really, just a fun stuff also. So you can hold down Alt and Shift and just click to take it back to what we had before. Okay, and for this, let me just take it back, hold down Alt and click Done to reset. Perfect. And with this, we've come to the end of our video on features you didn't know exist. I'm sure you learned something new. I'm sure you got some value. So see you in the next one. Bye-bye. In this module, you'll learn how to work with the Adobe CC libraries in Adobe Photoshop. Kindly download the attached files for this module before you continue. And please reach out to me via message or in the Q&A section if you have any questions. I would love to make this course a 5-star experience for you. See you in the next video. Hey everyone, welcome back. So in this video and in the next one, we are going to learn how to use the Adobe Creative Cloud libraries in Photoshop and other Adobe softwares. Okay, so in your Photoshop, just make sure you have the libraries panel activated. Okay, so this is the libraries. If you're not seeing your libraries, just come here, come to Windows, and then make sure you have libraries checked. Okay, so this is your libraries panel, and then these are your libraries. So yours will probably be empty because you will have to create libraries to have libraries, right? And as you can see, I have a number of libraries. So what are libraries? Libraries are basically a place in your Creative Clouds where you can store assets, okay, where you can store files, where you can store presets, colors, and so on and so forth, which you can then use in other projects across all Adobe softwares. So if you create libraries in Photoshop, you can use them in Illustrator, you can use them in After Effects, in Premiere Pro, in InDesign, and many other Adobe softwares. So we're going to learn how to create libraries and how to use them. Okay, so let me just go through some of the libraries I have here. So I've been using libraries for a while, and if I just open, you're going to see that I have contents in my libraries, right? So we have this other one, PSD assets. We have these other libraries with all of these. We have custom AI brushes. We have this branding. And right now, to create your library, you can just click here to create a new library. Now we're going to create a library called tutorial. Okay, so tutorial. Okay, so this library is basically for these videos, these lectures. So when you create your library, you get to go into the library and you can now add things in your library. Okay, so right now I'm just going to go to File, open my folder, and then I'll just come to the folder on Adobe CC libraries, and then just select all of these images and click open. Perfect. Now I've opened my images, and I can add my images into libraries. I can add text, I can add text styles, I can add colors. So let's start by adding this image. Okay, so all you need to do is to click and drag and drop. Okay, and now you have your image in your library. Now you can rename this. You can just double click this and then rename it if you want, but I'm just going to leave it as background, and then let's just add this other one. So click and drag and drag and drop. Okay, click and drag and drag and drop. Yeah, and now we have our image. So let's just name this lobby so that we differentiate them. Okay, so we can see how we've added images. So let's say we want to use these images in other Adobe softwares. So let's just go to Illustrator right now. So here I am in Illustrator, and I've opened a new file, and you don't need to have Illustrator. I just want you to see how I can use my libraries here in Illustrator, right? So these are my libraries, and then this is our new library which we created. So just click and enter. Now you can see our images here. So I can just click and drag and drop. Now you can see that we've been able to bring our image into Illustrator, and this works with all other Adobe softwares. Now this is called a linked file, and you can see this X on it, right? It's called a linked file because it's linked to our libraries. So if I just go back to Photoshop, for example, and just try to bring this file in. Now, if you look at the thumbnail here, you see this cloud icon, right? So this cloud logo shows you that this image is linked. It's linked, and it means anything we do to change our image here, our main file here, which is in our libraries, it's going to affect our image here. So let's just try that. So let's come here, right click, and then edit. So now it's going to open an interface of our image where we can edit. So I just want to add a text to our image, so just click, and this works more like mockups. Okay, how you just add details to your mockups and then just save, and then it updates automatically. So this is how it works. So all you need to do now is just change the text color. I'm going to change the text color to something that will be visible. So let's see blue. Let's see blue. No, let's see white. So white will be visible, and then I'm just going to hit Control S for save. So when I hit Control S and go back to my libraries, we'll see that it has updated. Okay, and now let's go back to the image, and we can see that our image here has updated, and also in Illustrator it has updated. Okay, so what if, let's go back to Photoshop. Perfect. So what if we don't want to have our file linked, right? What if we just want the main file without it being linked? So let's just delete this guy here and just create another one and add another one. Now, in order to have our file without it being linked, we can just click and hold down Alt and drag, and now we don't see our cloud icon here again. So it means this is no longer linked. So it means whatever you do to this file now, it's not going to affect the one we have here. Same also in Illustrator. Let's go to Illustrator. So in Illustrator now, if I come here, hold on Alt and drag, we can see that we no longer have that X outline across our image. So it means it's not linked. Okay, but if you just click without holding down Alt and dragging and drag, you can see that we have this X. Okay, so it means this guy is linked, this guy is not linked. So basically, these are the two types of files, or rather two types of importation of our assets which we can do. We can have them linked to our library files, and we can have them unlinked, okay, or embedded. So now we've looked at images. Now we can also add colors. So let's say we want to add colors, and we just come here, create a new color, okay, then we just give this color or this color, and let's say we want to add this color to our library. All you need to do is to select your shape, just come here, click here, and then add field color. So you can add the field color, you can add the stroke color if you want, you can even add the foreground color. Okay, so let's add field color, and you see that our color has been added here. So it means if we go back to Illustrator and see we want to create something or get our color back, you can just click and add. You can see that our color has updated. Okay, and we can actually even take our eyedropper tool and sample our color. So we can sample this color. Okay, we can sample this color and then just click here and add foreground color. You can sample this color, click here, add foreground color, sample this color, click here, add foreground color. And this works really well in branding also. This can come really handy in branding and creating let's say brand identity, because with this you'll be able to save even the brand colors and even share your libraries. Okay, and we're going to learn how to share libraries in the next video. So we can see now that we can actually save our colors. So let's try saving some other stuff. So let's create a text, and let's just create a dummy text. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to just give my text different color, let's say white, and then just do some adjustments to my styling. So I'm going to give it a font style. So I'm going to give it this Carl Just font style, and then let's say make our kerning 50 or minus 50. Okay, and basically let's say we just want these styles on our text, and we want to save this as say a heading. Okay, maybe we're designing a magazine and we want to save this as our heading. Let's also create another text. So for this one, this would be this will not be a point text, it will be an area text. So we want to even have a paragraph, kind of this kind of paragraph, and maybe change the font style to this. Okay, and then reduce the font size to 60. Perfect. And then we have this as a paragraph, right? So so we have two types of text. This is a point text, this is an area text. So click and come to your libraries, and then click here and you see add character style. So click on character style, and then you have this. Then click also on this one, and then add character style. So it means you can go back to Illustrator and copy our character style. Okay, so you can select and just add this. You can see that we've copied our character style. Same also with this. So we can see that we've been able to kind of replicate what we had in Photoshop. Perfect. So the last thing I would like to add before we end the video is adjustment layers. Okay, so you can also save your adjustment layers in libraries. So let's say you are editing your image, and let's just delete this one. Let's just add some adjustments. So let's say we really like the lookup effect, and let's just get one. So let's see, we like this one, and even another, maybe let's add another adjustment. So let's see, we even want also the curves. Okay, so we want this lookup along with the curves, right? So we can actually add them to our library. So select both of them, click and drag and drop. It seems we didn't do it well, so just let's select one by one and try it this time. Okay, so now we've added our levels and also our color lookup into our libraries. So let's assume we no longer have them here and we want to just copy our adjustments, right? So all we need to do is to just click, hold down Alt and drag. You click and hold down Alt and drag, and you can see that we are basically applying our effects back again. Okay, so basically that's how we add stuff and remove stuff from our library. So it means we can select and delete if you want. So you can delete. Okay, yeah, so that's a basic introduction into libraries. In the next video, we're going to learn how to do even more stuff with libraries. So see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Hey there, welcome back. So in the last video, we learned how to use libraries. So we had the basic introduction into libraries, and we saw how to use our libraries across different Adobe softwares. Okay, so in this video, we're going to learn even cooler stuff. So now the first thing we're going to learn is how to find similar images to our image. So let's say you're working with an image and you're going to like the image, but let's say you could not use it because maybe the resolution is not good enough or because of some reason, and you want to find a similar image. Okay, so how you do that is just bring your image to your library and then right click on it and then find similar. Now Photoshop will search the Adobe stock library and get some images for you, some similar images. Now we can see this one is similar and this one is also similar, so you can actually use these images, but not for free. You have to have an Adobe Stock subscription to use these images, but you can use them with their watermarks on. So you can just bring it in, scale it up, hit OK, and it's going to be added. So this is just the low resolution image with the watermark. So let's say you're satisfied with what you have and you want to purchase the image, you can just go ahead and click here and purchase the image. Okay, so that's how to find a similar image to the one you have. So now the next thing I want to show you is how to further manipulate our image or further edit our image in libraries. So select your image, come here, then where you see extract from image, so click on extract from image, and in fact let's not use this image, let's use the more dramatic image. So let's use this one. Okay, so let's add our image first of all, or let's just extract from image directly. So extract from image. Now this window opens up and then our image is loaded here, and you can see that we can create patterns with our image, so we can even adjust the scale. We can see everything happening here, right? So you can see the beautiful pattern we are able to create with our image. So you can adjust the rotation, adjust the scale, you can even adjust the pattern. Okay, you can even change the pattern. There are different patterns we can create, so you can see the really cool stuff we are using our image to create. So this can serve as a background, it can serve for many purposes. Okay, you can create different patterns with our image. So the color mode is colors. We can even have it as grayscale or in grayscale. So let's just go back to colors. Now we can also create shapes. Now by shapes, this is basically Photoshop vectorizing our image. Okay, so let's just vectorize our image and save it. Okay, and let's just save to libraries. So it's now saving to libraries. So apart from that, we can also get the color theme of our image. So we can see that Photoshop is basically taking colors from our image. So we can see it as sample different colors from our image, and we can choose the colorful mode, we can choose the bright mode, and we can just see how intelligently Photoshop does this. So this is the muted mode, this is the deep mode, this is the dark mode. So let's just keep adding to our libraries. So we can add all of these colors to our libraries. The deep mode, add to libraries. Let's add the bright mode, add to libraries. Let's add the colorful mode, add to libraries. So we can see all of these in our libraries. Okay, and we can also add gradients. So you can see that Photoshop is creating gradients with our image. So we can add this to our libraries. We can even add the number of colors so that the gradient is richer. You can see that we have all of these. Add to our libraries. So, and if we have text on our image, we can also extract the text from our image and add to our libraries. Okay, so these are some of the other things we can do with libraries. Let's also add a pattern. I don't think we've added a pattern, so let's just create a pattern and add to our libraries. I like this pattern. Now let's add to libraries. Perfect. Now we have been able to create a rich library. So we can close this, and this is everything in our library. Okay, and I forgot to show you something really cool. This is related to adding colors to our libraries. So just go to this website, color.adobe.com, color.adobe.com, and then just come and see the website. Now this is a website dedicated to colors. Okay, so you can have color inspirations, you can create color themes. So I'm not really going to show you how to use everything here, but just come to trends, and Photoshop or Adobe gives us color trends. Yet, so it gives us color palettes based on trends. So we can see all of these. So this is graphic design trends, fashion trends, illustration trends, UI UX trends, architecture trends. Okay, so we can just steal colors from this place. So you can just save to library. So you can just come on anyone you like and then add to libraries. But I'm just going to come here first and let me change my library. So it's saving to Gray Arc library. I just want to save it to tutorial. Perfect. So go back to trends and then just add a few of them. So I'm going to add, I'm just going to add randomly. I'm not really looking for something here. So just add this one. Okay, and maybe go down a bit. Add this one. So add to library. Perfect. Now go back to Photoshop and we can now see that our colors have been added to our library. So these are our colors. Okay, then means that if we go to Illustrator, we can now use our libraries. So let's click this guy, hold down Alt, click and drag. So now we can see our vectorized image now in Illustrator. Okay, so you can see everything perfectly laid. We also have our pattern. So let's create this shape and just give it a pattern. Perfect. Now we see our pattern has now been brought in to Illustrator thanks to libraries, and we can see all our color palettes. Okay, so we can select. It's just going to keep updating, and we can also add 2 swatches. Okay, so basically these are the things I want to show you, and apart from this, there are some last things we can do. We can actually export our libraries. So we can export our libraries. So click export tutorial. So we can now choose a folder. Let's select our folder here, our CC libraries folder. So select this folder and then just export. So export, and our Photoshop has exported our libraries. And this is our library file. You can see it's 32 megabytes. And apart from exporting our library, we can also share our library. So come here and you can see that you can share your library. You can invite people. So it's just going to open your Creative Cloud app, and then you can write in their emails and then invite them, so they can also work with your libraries. They can make changes to your libraries. Okay, so this is also one way to work, and you can get a link and just share the link. So it's creating my link, and with this link I can share this link to my clients. I can share this link to my co-workers, and they can actually access my library. So it's going to open my library, and we can also do this. So just go back to Photoshop, and we can also do this. We can also come here and then view on website. So the view on website, so just click view on website. It's going to open the website for us. That's the Photoshop website, or the Adobe website, and you are going to see your library there. Now, this is the link we pasted. You can see that if we give our clients or our co-workers this link, this is what they will see. This is what they will see, and it means they can now add it to their libraries. They can now work with all of these files which are in our library. And basically that's it for libraries. They can really make things flow incredibly well with your workflow across different Adobe apps, and that's incredibly amazing. So with this, we've come to the end of this video. See you in the next one. Bye. In this module, you will learn pro workflows for working with images, selections, layers and blending in Adobe Photoshop. You'll learn important layer tips. You'll learn how to do more with blending options, how to work with apply image, calculations, auto blend. You'll also learn pro selection workflows, how to fix blurred images, and lots more. Kindly download the attached files for this module before you continue. And please reach out to me via message or in the Q&A section if you have any questions. I would love to make this course a 5-star experience for you. See you in the next video. Hey everyone, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to learn some layer tips, and I've gone ahead and opened this project from our fundamental course, and you can just go ahead and open it. It's in your folder on images, layers, and blending modes, pro workflows. Okay, so just go ahead and open this file. That's the new poster design. Okay, so for now it's the only file in the folder, but when you get access to the folder, you will definitely see other files. So this is the name of the file, new poster design. So just go ahead and open the file, and now this is the file, and you can see we have quite lots of layers here. So first of all, I want to just show you how to isolate your layer. Okay, so you might know this, you might not know this. It's quite simple but advanced at the same time. Okay, so all you need to do is come here, right click, and then show/hide all layers. So it's gonna show the layer you've selected. So I've selected this white layer and it's not blending well, so let me select a different layer. Let me select this layer, this with color. So right click and show/hide all other layers. So it's going to show you the layer you've selected while hiding other layers. Okay, so that's all you need to do. Right click and hide/show other layers, and you can also hit hold down Alt and click on the eye icon to hide other layers and show the layer. So just hold down Alt on your PC or Option on your Mac, and then just click. So you can do this and isolate your layer. So that's the first thing. And of course, if you click on it, you can also see other options, right? So it means you can turn this to red, you can turn your layer to red. So this is sort of a way of organizing your layers, if you will. There are different colors you can give your layer, and you can finally hide the layer. Okay, so these are the few options you get here. Now, when you click on your thumbnail, you also get different options. Now you can change the color of the layer also through here, just like this. Select your layer color, okay, and just hit no color. So apart from this, you can also do other things. You can clip thumbnail to document bones. Now this will make your thumbnail just the size of the document, okay, or just the shape of the document. So we can see that our document is squared right now. So also with our thumbnail, so all the empty spaces can be seen from our thumbnail. Okay, so you can also choose a different option. You can clip thumbnail to layer bounds, and it's going to give you this, and this will crop your thumbnail to the shape or the bones of your layer. Okay, so basically that's that. I'm just going to take it back, and we have other options. You can choose small thumbnails, or rather no thumbnails. You can choose small thumbnails, you can choose medium thumbnails, you can choose big thumbnails. So these are the options. Take it back to small thumbnails, and basically these are the most important things. These are just blending options, like you know, and this other one will select your pixels. Okay, make the selection. So basically that's it for these options. Of course, if you click here, you're going to get these layer options, and if you double click here, you're going to get your layer styles. Okay, so the next thing I want you to learn is how we can filter our layer. There are these options here that we almost never use. We didn't even look at any of these from the fundamental course. Right now, these are actually useful, and we can use them to speed up our workflow in Photoshop. So let me just go ahead and go through them. So if you come here and click here, you're going to see kind. Now this kind allows you to see all layers you have, right? But let's say you want to filter your layers. Let's say you want to select some layers and just isolate them. Okay, so I've selected these layers holding shift, right? So all I need to do is to come to kind and then go to selected, and it's going to just isolate all these layers. And you can actually switch this feature on and off using this little button here. So you just off the button to see all your layers, and on to see just your selected layers. Okay, so you can also have other features or other options, like let's just go back to our kind first, and then let's say we want to see or let's say we want to search the name of our layer. So just click name, then now you can search, right? So let's say we want to search layer title or named best men's shoes. Okay, so you can see that we've now searched the layer. So this can come really handy when you're working with lots of layers. Okay, it really helps you clean up your work and speed up your workflow. So we also have this guy that helps us select layers with a layer style on it. So just click on effect and then choose the layer style. So for this, it's showing us drop shadows. So it's kind of showing us the layers with a drop shadow. So this one has a drop shadow, this one has a drop shadow. So let's select and choose a different one. Let me see bevel and emboss. And we can see that this layer has a bevel and emboss. Okay, so this is basically how to filter your layers based on the effects we have on our layers. And we can also do that based on the blending mode. Okay, the blending mode, and we see normal right now. So let's say we want to select layers with lighting. You can see that this guy has lighting. So that's how to do it. Perfect. So next we're going to select let's see attributes. Now we can see that it's going to help us select layers or isolate layers based on different attributes, based on layers that are locked, based on layers that are visible. So we can see that now all the layers are visible, right? So it's going to show us all the visible layers. So it means if you have layers that are not visible, you won't be able to see anyone. As we can see now, we don't have any layers that are hidden, so it means we won't see any option when we choose the not visible option. Okay, so we have lots of attributes here. We have vector masks, layer masks. You can see that all our layers with layer masks are selected here, okay, or are isolated here. We have clipped, we don't have any clipped mask layer. We also have empty layers, we don't have any empty layers. We have locked, we only have the background layer as locked. This is how to select based on attributes. So let's just go back here and we can select based on color. Color, okay, and now based on the colors we've given our layer. So let's see, we've given our layer orange color. So let's say this one is orange, and this one is orange, and this also is orange. Okay, and then let's see, this one is green, and green, this also is green. Okay, and now we have it at none, right? As none, right? So let's just come to green. Now we see our layers that are green. Let's come to orange. We see our layers that have the orange color assigned to them. And so we have smart objects selected. Now for selected, it's going to mean that when we select layers, yeah, and we've looked at selected actually, right? We've looked at selected. So when we select the layers and we hit selected, it's going to just isolate them. And basically the remaining are self-explanatory, right? So this is how to isolate our layers. And we also have these other options here. We isolate pixels, we isolate adjustment layers. So it's going to just show us adjustment layers. We isolate based on text, and of course we can do multiple, right? So we can do this, do this, do this, right? So we have based on text, we have based on smart object, I think, okay, not smart object, based on shapes, then based on smart objects. Yeah, so this is how we use these options right here. So see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Hello everyone and welcome back. In this lecture, we're going to learn about knockouts in Adobe Photoshop, and we're going to see practical usage for knockouts here in Photoshop. So knockouts are more like layer masks, but with more features, okay? And we can basically use knockout to puncture holes through our layers, okay, through our layers and down to our background layer. So in order to explain how knockouts are similar to layer masks, let me just create a new document. So go ahead and create a new document, and let's choose the A4 template to create. So I'm just going to take my text tool and then click on my workspace and then just type S, so letter S, and I'm using the Clash Display font. So this is the Clash Display font, and in case you don't have this font, you can go ahead and download it from the internet. It's basically free to use for non-commercial purposes, if I'm not mistaken. So this is the spelling, Clash Display, and I'm using the bold variation. It's the thickest. So right now, let's say we want to puncture a hole through our text, okay? Now the best way or easiest way to do this would be to select our text and then create a layer mask and just take maybe our brush tool. You can take our brush and then make our hardness to 100 and maybe the brush size to this, and just come on our text while selecting our layer mask and just click and hold, right? Click and drag rather. So click and drag to create a puncture on our text, okay, or to puncture our text right through down to our background layer. I'm just going to undo this to do it better. So I'm going to hold down shift and click and drag. So I have now created a straight line across my text. Now if I just hide my background layer, I'm going to see that this is actually transparent, right? So with knockouts, we can also do this and even do more, because knockouts have a lot of other options or other applications. So just select your text tool once more and let's hit S. Sorry, let's create S rather. We'll create S, and now let's try to duplicate what we've just created with knockouts this time, so that we see how knockouts work. Now just come here to your rectangle tool and create a new rectangle across like this. Now our rectangle has to be on our letter S, right? So just double click here on the rectangle and then go to blending options. Now under blending options, you see where it says knockout. So this is knockout, and as you can see, it's presently set to none. So that's why we don't have any knockouts. But let's just take this to shallow or deep, and I'm going to explain what shallow and deep means. But just take this to either one of them, and then come here where it says fill opacity, and then reduce your fill opacity. Okay, you can reduce your fill opacity through here, or just hit OK and then come to fill here and then reduce it, okay, to 0. Now you can see that we've basically created exactly what we had here, only that this one has a stroke, so we can just disable our stroke and we basically have exactly what we created here. So we can see how we've achieved exactly the same thing with knockouts, just as we did with layer masks, right? So basically that's what knockouts do. And we have two types of knockout, like we've just seen. We have the deep knockout, which puncture holes through our layer down to our background layer, and it basically doesn't care how many layers there are, it just punctures holes through all the layers down to the background layer, while the shallow knockout puncture holes through the layers within a group. Okay, so the layers have to be within a group. Now we're going to see how all of this works. So go ahead and place an image. Let's place an image, go to our layer, our folder rather, and then let's select this architecture image. So please, perfect. Now let's just scale our image this big, and then take our text tool and just type design, but instead of choosing the horizontal, let's choose the vertical, because we want to type a vertical text, right? So let's type design, and we can see that we are using a really thick font. We should be using a really thick font because we want this to really punch well, you get. So just create your design text to be this big, and now just go ahead and create or select your rectangle tool and then just create a rectangle like this, or of this size and shape. Perfect. Now drag your rectangle below your design layer, and let's just change this color to white, and then just zoom in to see if we have balanced composition. So I'm just going to make this bigger a bit, and I think this will do. Now we have our rectangle, our design text, and also the background, or rather the architecture layer. So I'm just going to make this a bit smaller in size. Perfect. So I'm holding down Alt on my keyboard, okay, to resize it. Now the next thing I'll do is I'll just select my design layer and then click here to go into the blending options and then select shallow knockout and OK. And then just come and reduce my opacity or my fill opacity. Now whenever I select the shallow knockout or whenever I make changes to my blending options, we get to see this little icon here showing us or telling us that some changes have been made to our blending options. Right now we see that it's white because our background layer is white. So what we'll do is we just unlock our background layer and we can now see the transparency, right? And then just delete our background layer and now just make this guy our new background layer. So go to layers, new, and background from layer. Perfect. Now you can see through our rectangle. Okay, and our rectangle just has a stroke here. I'm just going to hit U on my keyboard for my rectangle tool. Just go to stroke and remove my stroke. Perfect. Hit 0 or Control 0 or Command 0 to fit to screen. Now we can see that we've basically punctured the hole through our rectangle down to our background layer. Now if we were to do this using masks, we can see that it's going to take us a while, or it's going to be more complicated than doing it this way, right? Perfect. So we can see how easier it is to use knockouts for certain things in Photoshop. Now we're going to go further and see how the deep knockout might work. So go ahead and place another image. So go to file and place embedded. Then here you just need to come and select this halftone PNG. Now this is a halftone pattern. I'm just going to open this so that you see. So open, and we can see that this is a halftone pattern, but basically a texture and it's in PNG. Okay, click and place, and now we just want to make this big. Okay, perfect. Now take your guy here and take him below your rectangle. Now if I take this below my rectangle, we can see that we are not even seeing our halftone pattern inside our shape, right? We're not seeing it inside our text, even as it is below our rectangle. And why is it? Because this design is puncturing a hole through all of our layers down to our background layer. And even though this is set as shallow, it's actually set as shallow, but still, because they are all in the same group, right? They are all in the same group, and there is no special group between the design text and the rectangle. So it punctures the hole down through all of our layers down to our background layer. So what if we want to actually see our halftone PNG pattern inside our text? Now, in order to do that, all we need to do is to select the design guy and select the rectangle guy and just come and give them a new layer. So as soon as I give them a new layer, we can now see it appearing inside our text. You get, so that's because the shallow guy affects just the two layers within the group. You get, so if we take this guy back to deep, we will still see it going through all of our layers, because deep just goes through all of our layers. Okay, but we want it as shallow and okay. Perfect. So this is how to use the shallow and the deep knockouts. Now I'm just going to maybe add a few more things. So I'm just going to create a new background, and then I'm just going to sorry, not Control backspace. I'm going to Alt backspace to fill it with our foreground color, and you can do Option Delete on your Mac to fill it with the foreground color. So what I need to do now is just create a layer mask. So select my layer 1, I'm going to create a layer mask, and then take my brush tool and then right click, make my hardness very little, and then increase my brush size to say 1/8, but this is still too small for what I want to achieve. So I'm just going to use my right bracket keys to increase the size of my brush. Okay, and then click, just click to expose parts of our image. Okay, so that we create this kind of vignette effect. Okay, now we can just click on our layer and take it down below this guy. Now we're kind of making our background a little bit darker so as to expose this effect even better. Okay, and yeah, if you want, we can just maybe reduce the opacity a bit, maybe 95, and then or 89, and then maybe go a step further with the knockout. So I'm just going to select my halftone PNG and then Ctrl J to duplicate it, and then bring it on top of our layer here. Okay, on top of our layer or on top of our group, and then give it a knockout. Now I'm just going to give it a deep knockout, so it knocks everything down to our background. So deep knockout and OK, and then reduce our fill to 0. Now we can see this effect it gives. Okay, so these dark parts are kind of still showing the real color intensity of our background, and we can also see the knockouts puncturing our rectangle and also our text again. So basically this is what I want to create, and maybe just crop our entire design a bit. So hit C on your keyboard, hold down Alt and drag. Okay, crop it, and yeah, this is what we want. Perfect. So basically guys, this is it about knockout. This is it about knockouts, and really you can achieve incredible things with knockouts. You can take this to a whole new level. Okay, you can make complex compositions with the help of knockouts. Okay, and on the second thought, I think I should just add a drop shadow to our group. So I'm just going to add a drop shadow. Let's see the effect it gives us. So let's make our size this big and just our distance. Yeah, so this looks perfect to me. Okay, I'm just going to save my image, so Ctrl S, and then save my image to knockouts, and hit save. Perfect. So that will be it for this video, and see you in the next one. Bye bye. Hey everyone, and welcome back. In this lecture we're going to learn how to do more with blending options using color channels. Okay, so let's go ahead and place or open your image. So we're going to start with this guy. So click on this image, man sitting in landscape, and also click on this image. That's hold down your control or your command on your PC, and then click also on this image. That's this weird name here, and just open. Perfect. So we're going to learn how to do more with our blending options using color channels with these images. So right now, what are color channels? Color channels are basically the channels of color okay, that come together to make up an image. So it means in each image there are several channels of colors. So we have the RGB channels, and we have the CMYK channels, and so many other channels. Okay, but Photoshop mostly works with the RGB. Okay, so that's just what you need to know about color channels or color modes. So it's very possible to separate our color channels here in Photoshop. We're going to learn how to do that. So just come to your image and just unlock the background. Let's duplicate this a couple of times. So Ctrl G, Ctrl G, Ctrl G, and I'm just going to keep this as a backup. So hide it. Then now just come to the first image, double click here, and then in your blending options you see these channels. Now we have the RGB, so that's red, green, and blue that make up this image. Now I'm just going to uncheck all of these, that's the G and the B, and just leave the R checked. Now you can see a preview of this, and it's showing the red color, right? So hit OK, then do the same with this guy. So for this guy, we're just going to uncheck the R, uncheck the B, and leave the green. Okay, and then for this one, we're going to uncheck the R, uncheck the G, and leave the B. So we have this guy as a red channel, this guy as a green channel, and this guy as a blue channel. You can see that they are all maintaining the color of our image, of the original color of our image. But as soon as I move one of these layers, as soon as I move or offset the position, you can see that it now exposes the others, and we can now see that the ones that are left are basically now a blend of green and blue. So I'm just going to undo this, and to help you understand this better, I'm just going to off these two. Okay, and now we can see that this is just the red channel, right? And we can off this guy and on this one. We can see that this is just a green channel, and off this guy and on this one, and we can see that this is just a blue channel, right? And if we on this one, we'll see that there's a blend between blue and green. If we on this one, we'll see that this is a blend between red and blue. If we off this one, we'll see that this is a blend between red and green. So basically, that's how images are created in Photoshop. So designers use this principle to create some really stunning color effects, and we can do that by just offsetting our image like we saw before. So just offset your image or your layer, and maybe for this guy we offset it to the right hand side, or even further to the left hand side, right? So this creates this kind of glitch effect on our image. Okay, so basically this is how to use channels. So I'm just going to close this guy, and let's work on this image. So we're just going to do the same thing. So duplicate this a couple of times, just hide this one, and now let's separate our channels. So go to blending options, let's off this guy. Okay, for this one, let's off this guy and this guy. Okay, and for this one, let's off these guys. Perfect. So right now we just want to offset our image, our layer a bit. It's the one up, and for this one, let's also offset it to the left hand side and see, or to the right hand side. So I'm using my arrow keys to do the offsetting, and perfect. So we can see the effect we have been able to achieve. Now I'm just going to duplicate this layer, that's the red layer, and then scale it. Okay, scale it, bring it here, and let's try some blending woods. So let's see. So let's try the lighten color and just reduce the opacity to this much. Perfect. And now let's lock our layer. And now I want to do more with this. I'm not just satisfied with this, even though this is really cool. I just want to do more with this. Now select this layer and then come to your rectangular marquee select tool and just make a selection across our image. And now, okay, it mustn't be this big. So just this. And now we can now hit V for our move tool. Let's see what we get by moving our red channel. So let's deselect. Now we can see that we've moved our red channel, and we are now kind of creating this kind of glitch effect, and it's more, or it's looking more complex or more advanced. So that's all we need to do. So just create a marquee selection and just move parts of the image. Now let's select this other guy and move it also. Deselect. Okay, perfect. And I'm just going to do this for this part. So hit V, and for this one I'm going to choose this other channel here, move it, and then select another one, hit V, move it, select this guy, also move it, select the red and move it to the left hand side. Perfect. So this is basically what I want to create, and yeah, so you can see how we use our color channels to create stunning visual art, visual compositions. So basically that's it for blending with color channels. And that's it for this video. And of course, we can go further with making this whole artwork look even more stunning, but I'll just allow you to do that on your own. There are lots of things you can add. So let's say you come to the folder, you could add, say, this texture. You could add this one also, so you could just place and then maybe scale it up and then do a bit of blending. Okay, you can see the kind of effect you're getting. Okay, and maybe mask some parts, and basically you've created something cool. Okay, but I'll just leave you to do that and kindly share what you come up with. I'd really love to see the outcome. Okay, so that's it for this video. See you in the next one. Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, we're going to learn the magic of blend if. So blend if is a layer option under our blending options that allows us to do some really cool kind of blending. Okay, it basically allows us to blend based on color intensities. Okay, so we can blend between two layers based on color or light intensities, and we can even apply blend if to the same layer. Okay, and we're going to see how all of this works. So just go ahead and open your folder, click file and open, and then bring in this image, this high contrast image. So open, and right away I'm going to do something. Okay, I'm going to take my rectangle tool, click on my rectangle tool, and then create a rectangle this big. Just going to fill it up like this, and even make it this big. Okay, make it bigger to fill the entire frame. Now hit U for my rectangle tool once more, and just remove a stroke and then give it a gradient fill. So this is the gradient fill, and I'm going to make the angle 0 degrees so that we go from here to here. That's from black to white. Okay, so right now just go to your rectangle layer and double click on this empty space to bring up your blending options. Now on the blending options, if you come down, you see what we have here. So this is blend if, and this is basically what we are going to be working with. Now all I need you to do is to come to these sliders here, click here and drag this to the left hand side, and as you can see, it's basically erasing the bright parts of our rectangle. Okay, it's erasing from the bright parts to the dark parts, just like how we see here on the blend if slider. You get? So here also, if you click and erase to the right hand side, it's going to erase from the from the dark parts to the bright parts, and we can see that our erasing is really precise. Okay, this is a very straight line, very precise line, and sometimes we might not want it to work like this. In fact, most of the times we won't want the transition to be like this, right? So all we need to do right now is just come here and then hold on Alt on our keyboard, that's option on the Mac, and then click. Now this separates this transition here, and we can now start creating this soft blending instead of the hard one we previously had. Okay, and we can do this also to the right slider. So click and then drag to the right hand side and drag to the left hand side, and we can now see that we have created this softer kind of blend, right? So now let's cancel and also go back. Okay, so go back to blend if. We can also apply blend if to affect the layer below our layer or our current layer. So right now we've selected our rectangle one layer, and we have the background layer below our layer. And now if we come here, we'll see that it has underlining layer. So if we click here, say click here and come here, that's from the dark to the right hand side. What we see is that blend if is erasing the darker parts of our underlining layer on our current layer. So now I chose this image for a reason. Let's just hide this guy, and if you look at this image, there's a lot of contrast in this image, and it means there are lots of really dark areas and really bright areas, right? So we can see that this snow right here is really bright, these places are really bright, and these places are dark, really dark, and also the sky here, this is also really dark. So I just want you to observe the transition. Now I'm starting this time from my right hand side, that's from my bright part to the dark part. So as I do this, you see that the places that get erased first are the bright parts. Okay, so these bright parts, that's parts like the snow and this handrail and parts of the sky here get erased on my rectangle because I'm dragging the bright slider. And if I come and drag the dark slider, we see that the dark parts of the image get erased first. So you see that these dark parts get erased first. Okay, so that's basically how BlendIf works. And we can also hold down Alt, click here, and then create this kind of softer blending. Same also with this guy, click Alt, or hold down Alt and click, and create this kind of softer blending. Okay, perfect. So basically that's how we do this. And let's handle more practical scenarios. So just go ahead and open your folder, and right now we want to select this image here. So this image, now we're going to see some really practical applications of BlendIf. So place the image, and now if we were to remove the sky, it's going to be a tug of war, right? Because you can see that there are lots of branches, lots of things to remove or to select. Now this is possible with BlendIf, and now we're going to see how we do this. So I'm just going to unlock the layer, double click here, then go to BlendIf. And right now we see that we've been working on our gray channel. So click here, and we then see other color channels, and we can see that the sky is blue, so we have to choose the blue channel. So when we choose the blue channel, our color turns to blue, right? So it means we can now start blending from the bright parts of blue to the dark parts of blue, or from the dark parts of blue to the bright parts of blue. So as I do that, we see that it starts erasing from the dark parts. Okay, now I'm going down to the bright parts. Okay, so we are leaving out the sky in this scenario, but we want to actually erase the sky. Click here and erase the sky. So you see how easily it is to erase our sky. Now we don't want to do that too much because it's going to start affecting our trees, okay, and our leaves. So we want to maybe then hold down Alt or Option on the mark and then click to separate or to create a more softer transition, right? So we drag this guy to this point and then drag this guy to this point. So we can just keep seeing, and if we achieve what we want, then we hit OK. So this should do. And of course, if we think we need more of the sky removed later on, we can also go back and do that. So all we need to do right now is just come to File and come to Place Embedded, and then select our sky. Now we're going to replace the sky or the current sky with our new sky. So click and drag the bottom. Now we can see that we have created this sky replacement, this incredible sky replacement very easily with our BlendIf. And zooming in, this looks just perfect. We don't need to do any more adjustments to our BlendIf. This looks just perfect. Okay, so if we want, we can hit Ctrl M for our levels and even maybe brighten things up a bit, or we can even just come and add a levels adjustment layer, or rather a curves adjustment. Perfect. So we see that BlendIf has helped us remove our sky very easily. Okay, and then the last example of BlendIf we're going to see is how we use BlendIf to realistically blend a logo on a wall. So go to File and Open, and now we want to open this wall, texture wall, and also this logo. Hold down Control or hold down Command and select also this PNG wing.com image. That's the Arsenal logo. So please, perfect. Now just come here, click and drag and bring it into your image. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is to turn my image into a smart object. So convert to smart object and just scale it up. Perfect. So right now we want to blend our Arsenal logo to our background, and we want this to be as realistic as possible, and we can only do this with BlendIf. Okay, so select your layer and do some duplicates. So just Ctrl J 2 times so that we have 3 layers. So just hide the first one, keep it as a backup, And now the first thing we need to do is we want to understand that we are dealing with two levels of color brightness, right? We are dealing with the dark colors and we are dealing with the bright colors. So we need to recreate this on our image or on our logo. Okay, now select the first image and then just create a blending. So let's just hide this one first. So let's create a blending. Now we need a bright blending. Okay, bright blending. So something like the lightness. Okay, so the lightness should do. So let's, or the screen rather. So let's use screen for this. So let's have screen for that, and let's just make this bright. Let's rename this to bright. Perfect. Then for this other one, so let's hide this one. For this other one, we want to give it a multiply. Okay, perfect. So for this, we name it dark, right? So dark. Perfect. Now what I want to do now is blend my dark to my background. So double click here and go to blend if. So what I want to do right now is just blend like this from the dark parts to the bright parts. Okay, so you can see that blend if is really helping us create this realistic fading, right? Okay, it's really blending the dark parts of our image perfectly. Okay, so I'll just hold down Alt here and create this transition so that our blending becomes more realistic. Perfect. So let's just hit OK and then go to our bright guy, double click, go to blend if, and this time we want to do this same thing to the bright part, right? So do this and hold down Alt and click, just drag this. Okay, so we're starting to get some really good blending right here. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to make sure my dark layer is on top of my bright layer. Okay, so we can now see what we get by bringing our dark layer on top of our bright layer. So we can see that we are making our image even more realistic. Okay, now with this we can just go back and I think we can do more to make this look better. Okay, it's not looking the best, so I'll just see how I adjust my blending even more. Okay, so just go ahead and adjust these sliders as much as you can. Go to the bright. Just adjust them to the point where you think that yeah, you're getting something really realistic, something really amazing. So it's already looking really cool here, but there is even more to do. Okay, and the next thing I want to do is just select the both of them, Ctrl G to group them, and we want to give our group here a layer mask. Okay, so just select your group and then create a layer mask. Now open your folder. In our folder now we want to open this image, so that's black grunged background. So click and open. So right now we want to just take our marquee select tool and select the entire thing and hit Ctrl C, and I'm going to show you how to do something really cool here. We didn't cover this in the fundamental course. So what I want to do is I want to use this image I've copied here as my layer mask. Okay, I want to use this image as my layer mask. So all I need to do is to come here and then hold down Alt on my keyboard or Option on my Mac and then click inside my group layer mask, and then just come ahead and Ctrl V to paste what I have copied, and then I'll just scale it up to the size of my layer mask or to the size of my logo basically, and hit done. And you can just hold down Alt and click back here to go back outside our layer mask and then deselect. Perfect. click also on your layer mask and then hit Ctrl I or Command I on your keyboard in order to invert the selection, because we can see that the selection, or rather the layer mask, was making our logo almost invincible, right? And that's because, of course, it's using the black to create the layer mask. So we want to invert it so that we see most of our logo. Perfect. So we also can adjust our layer mask. So select your move tool and click on your layer mask, and we can see the outline here, right? But if we move our layer mask right now, it's going to move along with our group. So let's try it. Now we see it's moving along with our group, or with our image, or with our layer, because the layer option here is selected under the move tool, right? So what we need to do right now is to unlink our group with our layer mask. So just click here to unlink it, and it means now that if you click here, you can just move only your layer mask. Now we can see that our layer mask alone is moving. We can see the effect, right? Perfect. So you can see that the blending is even more cool, or even cooler. We can rotate our layer mask if we want. We can move it, we can scale it, and this will just do. This will do. We hit OK, and what I want to do right now is just select my layer mask and Ctrl M for my curves, and I can add more realism to my layer mask, or rather to my logo. Perfect. This is basically perfect. Yeah, so this is a perfect blend. And one more thing we can do is, since we have light coming from this direction, we could also kind of create one extra curves adjustment layer. So just come and create the curves adjustment layer here, and now this is in order to depict the light effect here, or to add some light effect to our logo. So just make this brighter like this. Just do this and do this. Perfect. Now I'll just select my layer mask and then just Ctrl I to invert my selection, and then hit B for my brush tool, and I'm just going to reduce the size this much. This is too small. Let's see this much, and then just kind of, you can hit X and just kind of apply the brightness just a little bit on this part of my logo. Okay, perfect. So basically, guys, that's it for this video, and you can see how we've realistically added the Arsenal logo to our grungy wall using Blend If. And with this, we've come to the end of this video on Blend If. See you in the next one. Bye bye. Hey there, welcome back. In this lecture, we're going to learn about Apply Image in Photoshop. We can use Apply Image to really achieve stunning visual effects. That's in color correction, image blending, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we're going to see how to do that in this video. So go ahead and open your folder, and then select this image, Esmeralda. Select the image and open. Now I'm just going to unlock my layer and Ctrl J to duplicate my layer, and now we have two layers, right? So I'm just going to name this let's see, girl 1. Okay, perfect. Now when we're doing our normal blending, we basically blend between one image and the other image, or one layer and the other layer. So we select the first layer on top and then basically choose our blend modes, right? So we don't get to choose what color channels we want to blend with, or what color channels we want to omit while blending. Okay, and that's quite a limitation according to Apply Image, because Apply Image allows us to do that. So Apply Image allows us to combine the red, green, and blue channels of our images with various blending modes. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing with Apply Image. So go ahead and select your first image, and we just want to duplicate our image so that we have a backup. Okay, now select your first image and then go to image and then apply image. Perfect. Now this window pops up, or this dialog box pops up, and then you have the source. Now the source is the source image from which you want to apply the effect. So that's the source, and just click here to select your source. You could have multiple sources if you have multiple documents open. So select the source, and then layers. So this will show you all the layers that are on your document, right? So you just select the first layer, the girl one. Now this is the layer that the effect will be applied on. You get, so this is now the color channel. So you can now choose color channels. You can choose the RGB color channel, and then you can choose the red color channel. You can choose the green color channel, and you can choose the blue color channel. And we have this other one called transparency. Okay, right now we don't have any transparent channels, so we have nothing under transparency. So let's just go to the red channel, and now from here on you can then go to blending modes and now select your blending mode. Now you see it's now normal. So let's just start going down on the list, and we can now see the different effects we are achieving. Okay, the different effects we are achieving. So for each color channel we're going to have different effect. So like we see, this is green, and this is a different effect. This is blue, different effect. Let's see if we get anything transparent. So we can see how faded the whole thing looks. So let's just go back and continue checking other blend modes. Okay, other blending modes. So go down the list, and basically we can see how this is helping us color correct our image, or giving us this different presets for color grading. Yes, so this can be also useful for color grading. And let's say we are okay with this, and we want to kind of reduce the opacity. We can just click here and drag to the left to reduce the opacity. Okay, so let's just take it back to 100, and let's see the before and after by toggling the preview switch here. So click to see before and click to see the effect added. So we can see that this effect gives us some cool highlights on our hair. Okay, and yeah, so that's the effect we get with this preset. Now we can keep changing, we can keep checking different channels to get different effects. We can see this one, this is the green channel, we can see the blue. Okay, all of them just gives us their own touch, a really cool touch. And we also have this option here, which is called mask. So if you click on mask, we have new options. Now this mask option allows us to max out a certain channel, okay, and also a certain image. So let's say we have other layers here with a different image. We can select that layer and use the color channels of that layer to max out from our current image. Okay, so right now we're just going to select the normal layer, so that's the girl layer, and now we can max out other color channels. We have the gray, the green, the red, and so on and so forth. So we can max these color channels out of our image, and Photoshop will just do its thing and apply our mask in a very creative way, right? So let's select the red channel here, and we can basically see the effect it gives us, right? So it's basically removing parts of the red color channel from certain parts of the image. Okay, now we have the green, we have blue, and we can just see the effect we get with all of these. Okay, so we can choose the effect we like best and hit OK. Right away we can see that our apply image effect has been applied. So let's just zoom in a bit and now see the before and after. So we see this the before and this is the after. Okay, and we can go further to add other things. We can maybe add levels, okay, or use our curves to add more beauty or more brightness or contrast to our image. We could make it a bit brighter. Perfect. Now we can also use apply image with multiple images, right? So let's go ahead and open our folder, and this time let's bring in this image, this image okay, this flower image. So click open. Perfect. And now let's try applying or doing a blending between our two images. So we can go to apply image, so select your image and then go to image and apply image. And right now we need to select our source, but unfortunately we can't see our image, so we're supposed to see this guy under our source. Okay, and the reason why it's not showing there is because in apply image you have to have the same image size between the two images you want to blend. We have to make these two images the same size, so just come down here and see the size of this image. It's 3276 pixels by 1496 pixels, and this one is 2448, right? So you see that they have different dimensions. What we can do now is just hit C for the crop tool, and then just come here, come to front image. You come to front image and then go here to the next image and just click here and OK. Now this will basically make our two images the same size. So if you come back here, you see that it's 3276 by 4096, right? So that's the original. Well, if you come here, you're going to see that it's now the same as this image. Okay, so right now we can just select our image and then go to image and then apply image. So right now, if you come on the source, you're going to see our flower image, right? So just select it. Now we can see that we are starting to get a blend between the two images. Perfect. So we can choose our channels. We can choose the RGB channel, so we can see that with the RGB channel we are getting all the colors of our flowers, right? We can choose the red channel, we can choose the green channel, we can choose the blue channel. Okay, and let's just do some blending. See, okay, so let's go back and select the RGB and see. This is the RGB and this is the blending we get. So let's just go through more blending modes. So multiply is not bad, darken is also not bad. Let's select darken and let's mask. Okay, so let's mask and let's also reduce the opacity of this effect so that it's not too much. Let's see, 89. Perfect. And now we have this, and let's now change the channel. Okay, so let's see gray, let's see red, okay, let's see green, let's see blue, or let's see transparency. So I kind of like the masking for the blue channel. Let's see if we get something different. So let's select a different image here. Okay, so right now we are using the same image, okay, as the mask. Cool effect. Yeah, so maybe I'll make this a little bit more transparent. Okay, so maybe reduce the opacity to even 83. So 83 should do, and I'm just going to hit OK. Perfect. So you can see how we've used apply image to create a perfect blend between these two documents. Okay, and we can go further and even do more apply image corrections to our image. So I just duplicated it to see what I can even achieve further. So go back and apply image. Let's see what we can do with this. So we're taking this back to the Esmeralda, and then now let's play with some other color channels. Let's see green, green. Let's see other blend modes. Okay, other blending modes. So let's just keep going down the list. We can see even more creative blending here. So we can observe that with some blending modes, we actually have the scale. Let's make this 10 and see. We actually have the scale. It should be between 2 and 1. We actually have the scale, and we have this other offset option. So let's just go back to one of these really cool ones. Let's see. Yeah, this one is not bad. Soft light. Perfect. And let's try using the mask one more time. Okay, so this is just good, guys. This is just good. So this is before and this is after. No much difference, but I like this better. So that's basically it for apply image. And with apply image, we can do a whole lot of things. And I'm really thinking that by the end of this module, we should have an exercise that will help us explore more on apply image. So that's it for this video. See you in the next one. Bye-bye. Hey there, welcome back. In this lecture, we're going to learn about calculations in Adobe Photoshop. So calculations are quite similar to apply image. They are usually overlooked by most people and they do quite similar things. Now they do quite similar things in the area of allowing us blend images with different blending modes and different color channels. Okay, so they allow us also play with color channels and blending modes. But for calculations, they give us a black and white result. Okay, so just go ahead and open your folder and then bring in this image, this elderly Asian man. So open, and now we can use calculations to turn this image into a black and white image. And that's not just it. Okay, we can also use calculations to give us certain outputs. Okay, so we can output the image as a document, we can output the image as a color channel. We're then going to have a new color channel with our output, and we can do a lot of other things. Now let's say we output our image as a color channel. We can now go further to process our image even further. Okay, and we can achieve things like background change, okay, image selection, and so on and so forth using the color channel we create with our calculations. Okay, but we are not going to go into that in this video. In this video, we're just going to learn how it works and also how to turn our image into black and white. And we're going to also blend more than one images. Okay, so just go to image, and now under apply image you see calculations. All right, so just click on calculations, and right away we have our image turned to black and white. Now we have the source, which is the same image, and for the layer we have the background. Okay, because we only have one layer, right? So we now have color channels. So we have the red, the gray, the green and blue. Okay, so we can see the effect we get as we go through all of the color channels, right? So we have the blue here, and we have the second source, and in this case it's still the same image because it's the same guy and we don't have any other image opened, right? We now have the layers also, which is the background layer because it's the only color layer, or rather the only layer. Then we have the channels, and we have all these other channels also, and we can also invert our selection, or rather our image, and also invert our image here. So we also have the opacity, where we can reduce how much our effect is applied, just like how we have it on the apply image. And we also have the blending. Now for the blending, we can blend with different color modes, right, or blending modes. We have the darken, you can choose the multiply, you can choose color bond, and so on and so forth, and you just get to see all the different options we get with these blending modes. Basically that's it for turning our image into black and white. And if we want, we can use a mask, okay, but we don't want, and it basically works just like the mask in apply image. Okay, now you have to select the image, you have to select the background, select the channel, you can invert. Basically that's it, but we don't want to apply masks in this one. We now have the result. It either outputs it as a new channel, so if we choose a new channel, it's going to give us a new color channel with this image. Okay, and then we can go on to further process it and do other stuff like image selection, background removal, and so on and so forth. And I think in one of the future lessons we should cover image selection and background removal using channels. Okay, so that you see how you can go from here to further processing your image and then using it to remove your background in a very perfect way. Okay, so right now I just want to maintain these settings, and hit OK. So okay, not hit OK yet. We want to choose the new document. So I want to create a new document with this. So I'm just going to hit OK, and now we have a new document. And this is a really dramatic black and white. You see that it's really contrasty. Okay, so we can furthermore edit our image even more. We could add levels, for example. Maybe add a bit of levels, okay, to make this stand out even more. So you already know these shortcuts, right? So Control M or Command M for your curves, and then Control L or Command L on your Mac for your levels, right? So you see, perfect. Now we can even go further to kind of distinct the eyes even more and other features by using our dodge tool. And we looked at this tool in our fundamental course, so we're not going to have an introduction to this tool in this one. So just come here, maybe brighten this part up so that we see this kind of shine. Okay, so also with this one. Okay, perfect. So our eyes act more like a mirror, and maybe some of these beards we could make them brighter. Perfect. And let's make our brush bigger. Maybe reduce the opacity 39. Just touch these areas, these really bright areas, to make them stand out even more. Perfect. Now from here on, we could just Ctrl J on our layer. Okay, we can actually duplicate this layer because it was an output from the calculations effect, right? So what we can now do is just select and then maybe go to filters and then go to sharpen and then unsharpen mask, so that we can kind of get some details or a lot of details on our hair. Okay, so our hair should stand out. Okay, so this is kind of the look I'm looking for. And yeah, so you see how we've turned this image into this really dramatic black and white image using our calculations. Now we can go even further. So let's go ahead and open a file. Let's open this our flowers file once again. So click open, and right now we want to use this image to affect our calculations here. Okay, so we want to blend both images, and just like in apply image, remember we had to make the dimensions for both images the same. So also with this one, so also with calculation, so you have to make the dimensions for both images the same. So when you come to this image, you see that the dimension is 32442 by 4719 pixels, and it's not the same as here, right? So all you need to do is to just hit C on your keyboard to select the crop tool, and then just come here and go to front image. Okay, and you don't have to do any other thing, just go to your next image, that's your flowers image, and then now you will be able to see the dimensions of the previous image. So you just click inside once, okay, and then click here. So right now we have the both images as the same size, right, as the same dimensions. So go back to my move tool, select my image, go to image, and then calculations. Perfect. So for the source, I want to make this like this. I want to select my flower file. Okay, then now we can start playing with the color channels to get different effects, and also with the blending modes. So we can try normal, darken. Basically you can see what you get with all of these. Let's say we want this, but we also want to reduce the opacity, so we can do that. Okay, perfect. And I think I'm just going to stick to this, or maybe let's just check others. There's no harm in checking. So let's just keep going down the list. Maybe we are going to get a better blend. . All of these effects are cool. Okay, but I think I will just stick to multiply. Sorry, not multiply, darken. Go to darken and hit OK. Perfect. So now here we are with our new document and everything looks just perfect. So that's it for this one, guys. See you in the next one.